The Emperor of Work begins with Conan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. Drywood meets fire. Karaoke bar meets fruit plate. If the person who was talking to Toyama Tobi was Furuta Rii, then he could have rejected Toyama Tobi harshly, and by the way, he could have arrested Toyama Tobi and put him in jail. But the person who was talking to Toyama Tobi now was Amuro Toru, the bourbon of the organization. So Amuro Toru couldn't arrest Toyama Tobi, and couldn't even show any resistance. Amuro Toru couldn't be an ostrich, just like the incident of the Shijin group this time. Although the appearance of Toyama Tobi made the follow-up a mess, Amuro Toru at least experienced the incident in person, leaving enough room for maneuver. If Amuro Toru was not in the Shijin family's villa at the time, and suddenly knew that Shijin Ryuka was killed, how passive would he be? The same reasoning applies to the current situation. Amuro Toru would rather follow Toyama Tobi to see what he was going to do. A diplomat couldn't possibly run to the deserted mountains and forests, right? As long as he was in the city, Amuro Toru had 100 ways to stop Toyama Tobi. Remember, 100 ways. After Toru Amuro agreed to help contact Tsujimura Iseo's political enemies, Toyama Tobi called the phone number on Tsujimura Kimi's commission letter. Then he asked Tsujimura Kimi to come to the Mori Detective Agency. After Tsujimura Kimi arrived at the agency, he found that the person who opened the door for him was not the Mori Kagoro in the newspaper. Instead, it was a young man, and there was no sign of Mori Kagoro in the agency. Tsujimura Kimi asked Toyama Tobi, "Excuse me, where is Mr. Mori? Detective Mori is now handling other commissions. I'm Mori Kagoro's agent. My name is Toyama." "Mr. Toyama?" Toyama Tobi's words made Tsujimura Kimi confused. Don't detectives now have agents? Toyama Tobi got straight to the point. "Time is precious, Mrs. Tsujimura. Let's talk about the commission. I saw that you said in the commission letter that you hope Detective Mori will help you investigate a girl." Hearing Toyama Tobi talking about business, Tsujimura Kimi nodded quickly and then took out a file bag from his bag. She took out a stack of documents and a photo. "To be precise, I hope Mr. Mori can help me investigate my son's fiancée. It's her." Yuan Shinfei did not rush to look through the information provided by Tsujimura Kimi, but continued to ask Tsujimura Kimi, "So, what kind of investigation results do you hope Detective Mori will give?" "What do you mean?" Tsujimura Kimi's mind was confused for a moment, and she didn't know if she had never understood the market of detectives. Why is the detective agency she came to today so different from what she thought? Tsujimura Kimi didn't expect that detectives nowadays are equipped with agents, and she didn't expect that the detective would not conduct an investigation after receiving the commission, but directly ask her what results she wanted to find out. "Does this mean that you can find out whatever results you want?" Seeing that Tsujimura Kimi was a little confused, Toyama Tobi kindly helped her answer. "It's like this, Mrs. Tsujimura. Since I became Detective Mori's agent, I found that it is inevitable that some detectives' investigation conclusions will not meet the client's expectations. In order to give the client a good investigation experience, we will now ask the client what the investigation results are expected by the client. Then our Detective Mori will work hard towards that result. This will not only avoid Detective Mori from making useless investigations, but also make the client's trip worthwhile. Do you understand what I mean?" Although Toyama Tobi said it obscurely, Tsujimura Kimi still understood it as soon as she heard it. "Isn't this just falsifying according to the client's wishes?" Exclamation mark. It seems that the ability of Mori Kagoro may not be the same as the rumors. Even the investigation results can be customized. Tsujimura Kimi's eyes lit up. Isn't this the kind of confused detective he needs? Kimi Tsujimura smiled reservedly at Toyama Tobi. She hid her contempt in her heart and said to Toyama Tobi seriously, "Please ask Mr. Mori to help me investigate this girl." Kimi Tsujimura pointed to the photo on the coffee table. "I don't think she is a good match for my son." "I understand, ma'am. I think so too." Toyama Tobi showed an expression of me too to the photo and then smiled in collusion with Kimitsu Jimura. When the commission agreement was signed, Toyama Tobi seemed to suddenly think of something, rubbed her hands, and said to Kimitsu Jimura, "That's right, ma'am. I'm afraid there is one more thing I need to confirm with you. After all, Detective Mori needs to participate in the marriage of the diplomat's only son to take this commission. So before the investigation begins, I think it would be best for Mr. Tsujimura and Mr. Mori to meet." "You are very thoughtful, Mr. Toyama." Kimitsu Jimura nodded. She was about to talk about this matter. Through a conversation with Toyama Tobi, she learned that Maori Kagoro might just be a detective who was not worthy of the name. This was exactly what Tsujimura Kumi wanted to select. She was looking for a famous but incompetent detective to act as a witness to her murder so as to remove her suspicion. She thought it would be difficult to find such a detective, but she didn't expect to meet such a suitable target. As soon as she started, it felt like you came to the KTV with a picky attitude, ready to take a good look at what kind of fruit plates there were in the KTV. As a result, as soon as you sat down, a fruit plate was brought over by someone alone. You only took a look and found out that this fruit plate was so juicy, big, bright in color, and fresh. No man can refuse this kind of surprise that can disrupt all plans, and of course women can too. Now Toyama Tobi is still so sensible. After praising Toyama Tobi, Tsujimura Kumi immediately asked, "So, when will Detective Maori come back?" "When he comes back, he must inform me as soon as possible. My husband is not convenient to come to the office, so I have to trouble Mr. Maori to come to my house when the time comes." "Okay, no problem. I will call Detective Maori later and then call you back. What do you think?" "Of course, this is very appropriate." Tsujimura Kumi nodded with satisfaction and then left a check. The check is the full commission fee, which means that the agency will not receive any additional income for this commission. According to the original plan, the Maori family will return to Biko Town in 3 days. But Toyama Tobi vaguely remembered that the return trip to Hoshima Island was also an incident. It seems that it was because Maori Kagoro drank too much the night before that they missed the return ferry. Normally, drunkenness and missing the ferry should be an accidental event, but it would become an inevitable event if it happened to Maori Kagoro. Besides, there is Conan. How could he miss the boat? That would kill people. This means that Maori Kagoro and his friends will not return to Biko Town until 4 days later. Toyama Tobi called Maori Kagoro and told him that there was a diplomat's commission in 4 days that needed him to come forward to negotiate. Maori Kagoro on the phone agreed without hesitation, but judging from his voice, Maori had been drinking a lot before answering the phone. "Drink, drink, drink more. Brother Maori, there is a surprise waiting for you at home when you come back." Chapter 152 Yukiko, your son has been bullied. 4 days later. "Excuse me, is this the Mori Detective Agency?" At the door of the agency, a Kansei Kuroko with an Osaka accent knocked on the door and asked Toyama Tobi. At this moment, Toyama Tobi was helping Kisakieri put all the purchased ingredients in the refrigerator. Because Maori Kagoro missed the ferry yesterday as expected due to drunkenness, they could only temporarily take the cruise ship of the Hashimoto Island and Hashimoto family to return to Tokyo. As for Kisakieri, she was invited by Toyama Tobi himself. Later, Toyama Tobi will go to the dock to pick up the Maori family and then drive them to the diplomat's home for a door-to-door visit. Before leaving, Toyama Tobi went to the supermarket to buy a lot of high-quality ingredients and also picked up Kisakieri. Just as Toyama Tobi planned, what could be more heartwarming than returning home after a tiring day and finding steaming hot meals on the dining table at home? Toyama Tobi's thoughtfulness is not just like this. 4 days is enough for Toyama Tobi to be busy with many things. For example, in the original work, the diplomat murder case was the first appearance of Kudo Shinichi after he appeared in Dorobiga Paradise. Among them, although Conan's transformation back to Kudo Shinichi was inseparable from the white liquor brought by Hattori Hiji, Conan's severe cold was also the main factor that triggered the 3 seconds of true manliness. Toyama Tobi didn't care whether Hattori Hiji would appear in this incident because the two people who should be gay friends would meet sooner or later. What's more, in this incident, Hattori Hiji mainly existed as a tool to provide white liquor. The second is to set off Kudo Shinichi's cow. Now Toyama Tobi specially went to Chinatown to buy a bottle of imported white liquor for Conan. Now white liquor is already available, but severe colds are not easy to control. Toyama Tobi went to Hakuba Pharmaceutical, and then he thoroughly saw what a genius scientist is. Toyama Tobi hopes that Miyano Shiho can provide him with a capsule that will give people a severe cold after taking it. I thought that Shiho Miyano would need at least 3 to 5 days to study this thing, but that afternoon, Shiho Miyano contacted Toyama Tobi and asked him to go to Beijing Pharmaceutical to get the medicine. The main point is efficiency. Speaking of which, we have to thank Brother Gin. If this happened to Shirley, who had just returned to China, it is estimated that Toyama Tobi would not be able to get such a thing from Shiho Miyano. But since Brother Gin used the undeveloped drug of Shiho Miyano as poison, Shiho Miyano suddenly felt that Toyama Tobi's behavior of only needing a drug that can make people have a severe cold was not considered poisoning. At most, it was a prank. As expected, everything is afraid of comparison, and it all depends on the help of peers. I didn't expect that. Even if Brother Gin was not at the base, he would provide help to Toyama Tobi in another way. This touched Toyama Tobi so much that, if his brother was killed one day, Toyama Tobi would definitely make a good urn for him and find a Fengshu treasure land. It's famous. There is no way around it. Burial costs in that crappy place in Japan are too high. It is more environmentally friendly to cremate privately and return to nature. Yes, it is environmentally friendly. Toyama Tobi thought that he would see the Osaka black chicken in the future, but he did not expect that Conan's good friend could find the agency in Osaka by smelling the smell. Toyama Tobi heard the movement at the door and came out of the kitchen. This is the Mori Detective Agency. How can I help you? Toyama Tobi took Hattori Hiji's luggage and led him to the sofa in the reception area. After asking Hattori Hiji to sit down, Kisakieri brought 2 cups of coffee. In the past, Zyallen did this kind of thing, but now the person serving tea and water in the agency is a big lawyer, and the status is rising. Let's get back to the point. What does this classmate want to investigate in the agency? A pet that ran away from home? A female classmate with unpredictable thoughts? Or a lover who is suspected of cheating on her? Toyama Tobi's friendly question directly made Hattori Hiji speechless. Is this what your detective agency usually investigates? Hattori Hiji looked strange, as if he was a fake detective. Facing Hattori Hiji's doubts, Toyama Tobi was very calm. It depends on how you define a detective agency. In my opinion, the main purpose of a detective agency is to make a profit. Since it is to make a profit, wouldn't it be great to have commissions that make more money and require less work? Toyama Tobi's sincere attitude made Hattori Hiji speechless for a while. He wanted to refute, but Toyama Tobi said that it was for profit. Since it is for profit, whether it is looking for lost pets or investigating infidelity in various senses, these are the most profitable projects. Toyama Tobi didn't preach to him or talk about it. He just said very honestly that they opened the agency to make money. Hattori Hiji scratched his head awkwardly and talked about the purpose of coming to the agency. I came here to find someone. Oh, I see. Is it a girl or a boy? Toyama Tobi suddenly realized and then asked carefully. Yes, it's a boy. Although Hattori Hiji felt that Toyama Tobi's tone was a bit strange, he didn't react to the strangeness, so he answered subconsciously. Unlike Hattori Hiji, a high school student whose mind was full of reasoning, Kisakieri was different from Hattori Hiji, who was a high school student with only reasoning in his mind. After hearing Toyama Tobi's meaningful tone, she realized what Toyama Tobi meant. Now hearing Hattori Hiji's answer without thinking, she couldn't help but look at Toyama Tobi. Good guy. Young people are really open now, okay? Don't worry, we are all professionally trained and will not discriminate against you in this regard. Then, do you have a photo or basic information of the boy you are looking for? Toyama Tobi continued to ask. What discrimination? I'm looking for Kudo Shinichi. Do you know where he is? Kudo Shinichi? Kisakieri was shocked. How could Kisakieri not know about her daughter's childhood sweetheart? What's more, that brat seems to have disappeared for a long time recently, which made his daughter lose her appetite recently. Originally, the worst plan that Kisakieri made was that one day, Kyudo Shinichi would get together with other girls and appear in front of Xyanalan. Isn't it said in anime that a young girl can't beat a girl who falls from the sky? But even if Kisakieri racked her brains, she couldn't imagine the current scene. The one who came to the door was actually a man! Exclamation mark. This. Looking at the dark-skinned and masculine Hattori Hiji, Kisakieri's thoughts began to diverge. Pretty boy Kyudo Shinichi, little slut Kyudo Shinichi who was pouted! Exclamation mark. Kisakieri shuddered all over and immediately wanted to make a long-distance call to the United States. Oh my god. Yukiko, your son was pouted. Chapter 153 Hattori Hiji, you are courting death. Cough cough cough. Toyama Tobi coughed dryly. He really didn't expect that Hattori Hiji would actually continue with what he said. Seeing that Kisakieri had begun to worry about her friend's child, she could only remind Hattori Hiji implicitly that Hattori-san, as far as I know, Kyudo-san should like girls, right? Have you known him before? Whether he likes girls or not is none of my business. Wait. After being reminded by Toyama Tobi, Hattori Hiji reacted instantly. I say, what on earth are you all thinking about? I came here to find Kyudo Shinichi for not what you thought. Hattori Hiji's face turned red and dark, and then he said, my name is Hattori Hiji, and I'm a high school detective from Osaka. I came to Tokyo this time, just to see what kind of person Kyudo Shinichi from Kanto, who is as famous as me, is. Oh. I see. I made a mistake. Toyama Tobi slapped his thigh and said to Hattori Hiji apologetically, so Hattori-san, you came here to challenge Kyudo Shinichi. It's really an unfortunate occasion that you came. It seems that Kyudo-san hasn't appeared for a while. Hattori Hiji rolled his eyes at Toyama Tobi angrily, and with his dark forehead, the pair of eyes were particularly noticeable. Of course I know that he hasn't been in school for a while, and I came here from Teton High School. A girl named Suzuki Sanoko from Teton High School told me that if I want to find Kyudo Shinichi, I can only go to the Mori Detective Agency and ask a girl named Mori Ran. By the way, who are you? Toyama Tobi was busy teasing Hattori Hiji and didn't introduce himself yet. My name is Toyama Tobi, and I'm Detective Mori's detective agent. Detective agent? Hattori Hiji was stunned as expected. Tokyo is worthy of being the capital area. Detectives have agents? The meaning of my existence is to help detectives choose better commissions. Toyama Tobi pointed at Hattori Hiji. For example, if you are looking for Kyudo Shinichi's commission now, I will not suggest Detective Mori to accept it. Xyanalan is Kyudo Shinichi's childhood sweetheart. Even she hasn't seen Kyudo for a long time, let alone Detective Mori. Hearing this, Hattori Hiji felt that he had something to say, but don't you think that exploring the reason why Kyudo disappeared is also a very interesting investigation? Well said, so I use the word suggestion. As for what kind of commission to accept, it is still Detective Mori himself who has the final say. Toyama Tobi said affirmatively. In this case, Hattori Hiji suddenly became interested in the profession of detective agent. To be precise, he should be interested in Toyama Tobi, the man with the same surname as his childhood sweetheart. Okay, Hattori, let's stop talking here today. Toyama Tobi looked at the time and found that it was almost time to go to the dock to pick up the Mori family, so he said to Hattori Hiji, Detective Mori has another commission to deal with today, and I have to go pick them up now. If you are eager to see Xyanalan, then I suggest you wait in the office. As soon as Toyama Tobi finished speaking, Kisakieri came up to Hattori Hiji and said apologetically, since Hattori-san is from Osaka, why don't you just eat with us tonight anyway? There are enough ingredients prepared today, and adding an extra pair of chopsticks is no problem at all. In that case, I would be disrespectful to refuse. Hattori Hiji has always been straightforward, and he readily accepted Kisakieri's invitation. Then he turned to Toyama Tobi and said, can you take me with you on the next commission? Don't worry, I won't cause any trouble for you. I'm also a well-known high school detective in Osaka. When Hattori Hiji said he was well-known, his beaming expression made it difficult to tell that he was pretending to be modest. In fact, from the fact that he traveled all the way from Osaka to Tokyo just to compete with Kudo Shinichi, who was as famous as himself. In reasoning, it can be seen that he still cares about the title of Kudo of Kanto, Hattori of Kansei. I can take you to find Detective Mori, but I can't help you if you can convince him to let you join. Toyama Tobi didn't promise and was only willing to act as a middleman. Don't worry, I have prepared a secret weapon for this time. Hattori Hiji patted his backpack and said proudly. Then it's settled. I will go to the client's house with you to investigate and then come back to taste this aunt's cooking. Hattori Hiji's mother is an excellent cook. Whenever there are guests at home, Hattori Gyalka will personally make her best pufferfish hot pot. Hattori Hiji, who has always been accustomed to his mother's cooking, probably thinks that other people's mothers are so good. The son of the Osaka prefectural police chief didn't realize that the world is so wonderful because it is full of diversity. Faced with Hattori Hiji's self-destruction request, Toyama Tobi had no intention of stopping him. Japan is a small country, and Tokyo doesn't have any decent specialties. Toyama Tobi couldn't just pack 2 rice flour murderers for him to take back, so he might as well experience the detoxification service that he could never experience anywhere else in the office. After all, he came here, so he didn't come in vain. The hospitable Toyama Tobi and Kisakieri were ready to leave Hattori Hiji with a perfect journey in Tokyo that would be so impressive that he would never forget it in his life. Bika Town Pier Brother Maori, this way. Toyama Tobi saw from a distance that there were many police cars parked under a cruise ship docked at the pier, and many policemen standing. As expected, Conan still performed stably and successfully killed one or more kind-hearted people who kindly took them in. In the work of Detective Conan, from a certain perspective, Conan and Maori Kagoro can completely guest star as the wolf in Mr. Dango and the snake and the farmer and the snake. People took them in with good intentions, but they were fine. The death halo was fully activated, and only one of them died, which was considered stable and not extraordinary. Because there were other commissions, Maori Kagoro and his family could not follow the police to the police station to take statements this time. Seeing Maori Kagoro, Toyama Tobi hurriedly greeted them. As soon as they met, Xiaolan said to Toyama Tobi apologetically, "I'm so sorry Toyama brother, it's all my fault for not keeping an eye on dad. It's okay, we don't need to talk about this with our relationship." Toyama Tobi waved his hand generously and then handed them a bag of drinks. "By the way, this is the drink I brought for you. TikTok is really good, and the game is really fun. MD procrastination is really terrible." Chapter 154, The Bird Yearning for Freedom. The drinks were 2 cans of coffee and 1 can of orange juice. Coffee is not good for children, so the can of orange juice naturally fell into Conan's hands. Toyama Tobi gave a mysterious smile, and sure enough, Conan didn't catch a cold just as he thought. But it doesn't matter, the pharmaceutical ability of the genius scientist Miya no Shiho is always trustworthy. After silently watching Conan drink half a can of orange juice in one breath, Toyama Tobi showed a satisfied smile. Then he casually pulled Hattori Hiji aside. "Ran, this guy is looking for you." When Conan saw an unfamiliar boy coming to see Ran, his jealous radar immediately started to work. He secretly ran to Ran and Hattori Hiji, ready to listen to what this black guy came to see Ran for. Hearing this, Conan almost broke into a cold sweat. It turned out that Hattori Hiji judged that Kudo Shinichi was probably not abroad, but was silently watching him beside Ran, based on a few words from Maoli Ran. How to say it, this sounds really scary at first glance. It was even more terrifying for Conan. Who is that kid? Maori Kagoro had an instinctive resistance to the opposite sex of the same age approaching his own cabbage. Seeing Hattori Hiji and Xiaolan chatting happily, he couldn't help but ask unhappily. His name is Hattori Hiji, a high school student who ran over from Osaka. Believe me, brother Maori, he will definitely be of great help to you. Toyama Tobi said meaningfully. Help me? Maori Kagoro sneered. How could he, the famous detective Maori Kagoro, need a high school student to help? Toyama Tobi drove a rented car and took the whole family directly to Tsujimura Kimi's house. Facing such a big family coming to the door, Tsujimura Kimi seemed a little surprised. "Mr. Toyama, what's going on?" Considering that your commission needs to be kept confidential, I brought them all here to cover up. To the outside world, it can be said that it is a friend's family visiting. Toyama Tobi replied calmly. Kimitsu Jimura nodded with satisfaction. You have considered it very carefully. Kimitsu Jimura was not a fool. She could see at a glance that this group of people were tired after the trip. Maori Kagoro was not going to deal with the commission before. It was obvious that he was traveling with his whole family. But wouldn't this be exactly what she wanted? It can be said that the worse Maori Kagoro's condition is, the greater the probability of her plan being successful. After encountering the target of investigation at the entrance of the first floor, Kimitsu Jimura led a group of people to the diplomat's study. Just when they arrived on the second floor, Toyama Tobi suddenly asked Kimitsu Jimura, "Sorry, ma'am, my stomach hurts a little. Can I borrow the bathroom at home?" Of course. After pointing out the bathroom to Toyama Tobi, Kimitsu Jimura led everyone to the study. After the group entered the study, Toyama Tobi took advantage of the fact that no one was on the second floor and quickly found the room of Tsujimura Takeyoshi, the son of Kimitsu Jimura. In the original work, Conan, who had a severe cold, was placed in this room to rest. After setting up a macro camera in a hidden corner of the room, Toyama Tobi returned to the bathroom. When he heard screams and chaotic footsteps from the study, he hurried out of the bathroom and followed others to the study. What's going on? What happened? In the study, diplomat Tsujimura Isao had fallen to the ground, not to mention breathing in, even out of breath. 3 detectives were searching the scene, or 2 to be exact. Hattori Hiji and Conan had an amazing tacit understanding at the murder scene, often finding the same clues and then having a love collision. Conan didn't look at Hattori Hiji, a black man suspected of poaching, with a good face. But at this moment, Conan felt that his head was getting more and more dizzy facing Conan's crooked and severe cold appearance that might fall at any time. Hattori Hiji, who had always been hostile to a little ghost, also unceremoniously offered the boss he carried with him. After giving Conan a sip, Conan was sent to the room of the deceased son, Takeyoshi Tsujimura. Hot, very hot, very hot. At this moment, Conan felt as if his whole body was burning, as if he was thrown into a furnace. With the sudden throbbing of his heart, Conan felt a feeling of growth. From the perspective of Toyama Tobi, Conan, who had just been lying on the bed, was sweating profusely, breathing weakly, and then he grew from an elementary school student to a high school student in a completely unscientific state. In just a few minutes, Conan went from a reasoning show to a food show, and performed a live show for Toyama Tobi, where clothes were torn, seeds sprouted from the soil, and gradually grew, and felt the breath of freedom. Maulalan went downstairs to pick up the doctor, and Toyama Tobi was watching the live broadcast on his mobile phone. Conan, who suddenly grew up, felt the long-lost big hands and feet, and almost cried. It is true that after mountains and rivers are high and rivers are deep, there is a way out. The poison invented by the black organization doesn't look very good. After all this time, a sip of white wine can crack this thing. Conan, who has returned to Kudo Shinichi, has no time to hesitate. He vaguely remembers that before he was sent to the bedroom, Hattori Hiji had already started his reasoning. But unfortunately, because of his impatience, Hattori Hiji's reasoning was wrong. He was fooled by the murderer. Conan, who was eager to correct Hattori Hiji's mistake, didn't notice the hidden camera in the room at all. He took out a blue suit from the closet and put it on in a hurry. After Conan left, Toyama Tobi walked into the bedroom, put away the camera that had just been set up, and returned to the crime scene. At the scene, Conan was finishing this reasoning. So, the murderer is you, Mrs. Tsujimura. Kudo Shinichi weakly pointed his finger at Tsujimura Kimi. Faced with Kudo Shinichi's conclusive reasoning, Tsujimura Kimi had no choice but to kneel down and confess. But when she knelt on the ground, Tsujimura Kimi still couldn't figure it out. Obviously, he was looking for Maori Kagoro. Why did he suddenly give him Kudo Shinichi? Where did this guy come from? Exclamation mark. Young people are so unethical. Hattori Hiji looked at Kudo Shinichi with an even more peculiar look. What is this called? This is called, when you want to drink milk, your mother comes. When you want to go to your mother's house, your child's uncle comes. When you want to find Kudo Shinichi, this person appears inexplicably. Hattori Hiji's eyes lit up with a fire of victory. This time, Kyudo Shinichi is indeed better. But it may not be the case next time. Hattori Hiji plans to stay in Tokyo for a while longer, just to wait for the next opportunity to compete with Kyudo Shinichi. This time he will definitely not lose again. Of course, there is also a sumptuous meal prepared by Maori Ran's mother waiting for him tonight. Although Hattori Hiji has a strong desire to win, he can adjust his mentality very well. Just when he was about to talk tough with Kyudo Shinichi, who was standing next to Xyalan, suddenly felt a familiar throbbing again. The trial card of Kyudo Shinichi's account has expired. I will quit TikTok and games starting tomorrow. Chapter 155. The reverse CPU of the workers. How could a living person suddenly disappear from a villa full of people? Ranmori didn't know, Inspector Media didn't know, and Hattori Hiji didn't know. After completing the reasoning, pretending to beep, Kyudo Shinichi ran away, as if he was ready to experience the joy of pretending to run away. Ranmori chased Kyudo Shinichi to the bathroom of Tsujimura's house, but only found Conan in the bathroom wearing an ill-fitting shirt. According to Conan, Kyudo Shinichi suddenly remembered that there were other cases that had not been solved, so he left in a hurry. But Hattori Hiji is not as easy to fool as Xyalan. Xyalan was deceived because she trusted Kyudo Shinichi too much and trusted Conan too much. After hearing that Kyudo Shinichi had left, Hattori Hiji immediately asked the patrolmen guarding the front and back doors on the first floor, and then concluded that except for the police, no high school students had ever entered or left the villa. It's interesting that Kyudo Shinichi, a living person, actually evaporated on the spot. Hattori Hiji, who was already very interested in Kyudo Shinichi, is now even more interested. As for Toyama Kazuha, who is still waiting for Hattori Hiji to return in Osaka. Who is Toyama Kazuha? Speaking of Toyama, Hattori Hiji, know Toyama Tobi. Tell that Toyama Kazuha from Osaka not to come here to make trouble. After the incident, the group took a free police car to the Metropolitan Police Department. Toyama Tobi had a transcript to be made, and Maori Kagoro and his family had too. Just when Toyama Tobi finished one, and was waiting for Maori Kagoro's family, Amuro Toru suddenly called. As soon as the call was connected, Toyama Tobi heard Amuro Toru questioning him. Hey, what are you doing? Why did you suddenly do it without telling me? As expected, Amuro Toru had received the news from the Metropolitan Police Department that diplomat Tsujimura Isao had been killed. This is the effect that Toyama Tobi wanted. Judging from Amuro Toru's attitude towards him, Toyama Tobi knew that his plan was going very smoothly. He also left a deep impression on Amuro Toru, but this impression cannot be too deep. If Amuro Toru misunderstands that he is the mastermind behind all the murders, how can he whitewash himself later? Although there is a saying that blackening is 3 times stronger, whitewashing is 7 points weaker, Toyama Tobi does not believe it. He does not believe that the bullets in this gun can be weakened by whitewashing. They are all bullets fired by the mysterious gunman. Can you tell me which bullet is righteous and which bullet is evil? Therefore, Toyama Tobi needs to create a different personality from other members of the organization in Amuro Toru. That is, a young man who is desperate and well informed, who is bewitched by members of the organization and falls into the quagmire. Although he is in the quagmire and cannot stay clean, Toyama Tobi still has a heart that wants to get ashore. That is, he has the value of saving. In this way, when the middleman Kodo Yusaku opens up the Japanese Public Security Bureau, Toyama Tobi's cooperation with the Japanese Public Security Bureau will not be hindered by Amuro Toru. Even Amuro Toru, who is isolated and helpless in the organization, should vigorously promote the cooperation between the Public Security Department and Toyama Tobi. Thinking of this, Toyama Tobi replied in a tone of being wronged and irritated. How do I know that things will be like this? Bourbon, do you know the situation of Tsujimura Isao's family? What's the situation of his family? Amuro Toru was obviously stunned by Toyama Tobi's righteous tone. He thought that Toyama Tobi would feel a little guilty when facing his accusation. But now with this tone, who is the one who is accusing? Toyama Tobi continued, the information I originally found was that 20 years ago, Yamashiro Kenji was forced by Tsujimura Isao to be charged with dereliction of duty and was removed from his diplomatic position. 5 years later, Yamashiro Kenji died in prison. I wanted to expose this matter and let Tsujimura Isao's political enemies use this as an excuse to attack Tsujimura Isao. These things are all verifiable, and I guarantee that Tsujimura Isao will not say a word after checking. Then what? Amuro Toru felt that he seemed to have really misunderstood Toyama Tobi this time. To be honest, the means used by Toyama Tobi this time were standard means of political struggle, plain and unpretentious but effective. But how did it turn into Tsujimura Isao's direct death? And then it's all the fault of Tsujimura Isao, the old bastard. Toyama Tobi said indignantly, this guy not only framed Yamashiro Kenji, but also caused him to commit suicide in prison, and then married his wife. That's fine, but now his son is going to marry the biological daughter of Yamashiro Kenji and his wife. The most outrageous thing is that Tsujimura Isao himself told Tsujimura Kami what he did back then. I didn't expect this old dog to be so good at playing. The complicated and chaotic family affairs of the diplomat were directly handled by Amuro Toru. Even though Amuro Toru was knowledgeable as a Japanese public security and organization cadre, he had never seen such a way of playing. How big a grudge is it? Marrying someone's wife and letting his son marry his daughter? This thing can only be said that Tsujimura Isao's son is like his father, and even their aesthetic tastes are almost the same. Tsujimura Kami's daughter looks exactly like her when she was young. If not exactly, she looks 80% like her. Facing the silent Amuro Toru, Toyama Tobi asked relentlessly, do you blame me for this? Can I be blamed for such a thing? Toyama Tobi's repeated questioning made Amuro Toru come back to his senses. He subconsciously comforted Toyama Tobi. It's not your fault. It's really not your fault. While comforting, Amuro Toru suddenly found that something was wrong. He is now a bourbon, and there is no need to comfort Toyama Tobi for this bastard diplomat! Exclamation mark. But he was halfway through his words and suddenly changed his words, which seemed too stiff. Amuro Toru could only continue to comfort Toyama Tobi. Don't be too excited, Toyama. Although Tsujimura Isao died a little hastily, there is no harm in it. At least we have already connected with his political enemies. Leave his political enemies to me. You can take a good rest during this period, okay? Hearing what Amuro Toru said, Toyama Tobi nodded with satisfaction. Okay, then I'll leave it to you next. I'll go talk to Rum and let him know that I'm not lazy. It should be. Amuro Toru was silent for a long time. After hanging up the call with Toyama Tobi, he suddenly understood why Toyama Tobi was so determined to stand on the side of the organization. If he had to experience such a bullshit, that would shatter his worldview at the beginning of establishing his worldview. I'm afraid even Amuro Toru himself might not have such a firm belief. After all, from that perspective, even Amuro Toru can only say Japan's pill. The other side of Toyama Tobi was gradually revealed to Amuro Toru, which made Amuro Toru more curious about Toyama Tobi. Curiosity is poison to women, and the same is true for men. After hanging up the phone, Toyama Tobi quietly put away his phone, and the 26 sets of confusing plans for Amuro Toru can be officially implemented. The main theme of these 26 sets of plans is Toyama Tobi, a man you can't figure out. Thanks to Zuli for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156. This black boy looks quite cute. After talking to Toru Amuro on the phone, the Mori family still didn't come out. It seems that the case on the cruise ship is also quite complicated. So Toyama Tobi called Rum again and told him that Toru Amuro had hooked up with a diplomat and had a great hope of dragging him down. The organization is definitely professional in how to drag people down. Rum also expressed great appreciation for Toyama Tobi's subordinates who can exert their subjective initiative. Rum knew Bourbon very well. He usually either worked part-time or on the way to work part-time. It seemed as if the organization treated him so harshly that a cadre of the organization had to work part-time as a way to support himself. This kind of initiative to solve problems for the organization and develop subordinates would definitely not be the work of Bourbon. It was obvious that he was so motivated under the leadership of Toyama Tobi. In the face of Rum's praise, Toyama Tobi only replied, "Lord Rum, I want to improve so much." Then he got Rum's guarantee that if there was a cadre quota vacant in the Tokyo branch of the organization would definitely consider Toyama Tobi first. In essence, this is still a big pie. For example, your leader says, "Young man, work hard, and the position under my buttocks will be yours in the future." Do you believe this? Although your leader is old, he will not retire for at least 10 years. Do you really have to wait 10 years to take over? How old are you then? However, Toyama Tobi does not have this distress. Although the Tokyo branch has a full staff of cadres, it doesn't matter if Conan will take action. In the future, the cadres of the Tokyo branch will be reduced one after another with the help of Conan, and this big pie will soon be materialized into a fragrant 5-spice pie. Toyama Tobi needs to make some small preparations for this. If nothing unexpected happens, if you want to become a cadre of the organization, you must at least pass the Gin undercover identification. With Jin's style of doing things, this identification is nothing more than killing undercovers, killing agents, and killing police. It is Rum's task to let Toyama Tobi build a good relationship with the police, and the last item is not taken into consideration. Then the probability is the first two. If Toyama Tobi really did this, he would have submitted his letter of allegiance to the organization, but he would not be able to jump back and forth between different units and practice more in the future. So Toyama Tobi was ready to prove his loyalty to the organization in his own way. Brother Jin, my loyalty to the organization is witnessed by heaven and earth, and the sun and the moon can show it. Just wait and see. The police cars of the Metropolitan Police Department have always been responsible for picking up but not sending off. Of course, if you get familiar with the police and it's too late, it's okay to send them off. When leaving Tsujimura's house, Toyama Tobi specifically asked the detective of the investigation section 1 to drive the rented car to the Metropolitan Police Department. There happened to be a car downstairs at this moment, so there was no need to trouble the detective on duty to send them home. Along the way, Toyama Tobi drove the Mori family and Hattori Hiji to the downstairs of the office smoothly. Just before arriving at the office, Maori Kagoro asked unhappily, "Is this kid going to go back to the office with us?" Of course, if nothing unexpected happens, Hattori-san should want to stay until Kudo appears again. Hattori Hiji nodded repeatedly after hearing this, and said frankly that Toyama Tobi still understood him. It seems that having a detective agent like Toyama Tobi is not a bad thing. Hattori Hiji thought so. He found that, if he had an agent to help him screen the commissions he was interested in, his efficiency would definitely be much higher. Unfortunately, his proposal was rejected by Toyama Tobi. The reason for rejecting Hattori Hiji was only one sentence: the detective agent would take a commission from the detective. But according to Toyama Tobi, neither Kudo in Kanto nor Hattori in Kansei had ever collected a commission fee. In other words, the commission fee is zero. No matter what the commission rate is, it is zero. Hattori Hiji can't let Toyama Tobi work for nothing, right? Toyama Tobi doesn't mind letting Hattori Hiji become his part-time boss, and by the way, he can get the wool of the system boss again. But Hattori Hiji's father is not a pushover. Toyama Tobi himself and Hattori Hiji don't have much friendship. What would Hattori Hiji think if he worked for Hattori Hiji for free, just because they met once? There is no such good thing as pie in the sky in the adult world, so this thing has to be done step by step. Don't worry, brother Mori, you will thank Hattori soon. Toyama Tobi patted Mori Kagoro on the shoulder and turned the steering wheel, and the car drove into the road in front of the office. From a distance, Mori Kagoro saw a light in the office that showed him the direction to go home. This light looked so warm, so full of fireworks, and so scary under the dim street lights. Mori Kagoro was so excited that he stuttered and pointed at the lighted office with a trembling hand and asked, "Brother Toyama, tell me the truth. Did you forget to turn off the lights when you left?" Toyama Tobi nodded seriously. I did not turn off the lights in the office when I left, but that was because there were people in the office at that time. Toyama Tobi looked at Maori Kagoro with envy. Lawyer Haim came to the office very early, just to prepare a welcome dinner for you. Brother Maori, sometimes I really envy you. If I hadn't made an appointment to return the car later, I would definitely go up with you. Maori Kagoro couldn't imagine why Toyama Tobi's 37-degree mouth would say such cold words. It's not a day or two since we all knew each other, so how good is the cooking skills of Eri Kisaki? Exclamation mark. Excuses, all excuses. Maori Kagoro suddenly thought of what Toyama Tobi said not long ago. His name is Hattori Hiji, a high school student who ran over from Osaka. Believe me, brother Maori, he will definitely be of great help to you. Don't worry, brother Maori, you will thank Hattori-san soon. Savior, this is a great savior. This is the great savior who came all the way from Osaka to save him from the fire and water. Maori Kagoro looked at Hattori Hiji and liked him more and more at this moment. This dark-skinned boy is really handsome. Maori Kagoro turned around and said to Hattori Hiji in the back seat earnestly, Hattori-san, you must eat more later. Just treat it as your own home. Don't be polite. Don't worry, uncle, I won't be polite. Hattori Hiji said disapprovingly. This Tokyo person is too polite. What is there to remind him of this kind of thing? When he was in Osaka, he didn't want the guests he invited to his home to be too polite. Put yourself in his shoes and eat more for dinner later. Maori Ran rarely saw her father being so kind and amiable to a boy of the same age, but she felt that her father's cooking was fine. Her mother carefully prepared a feast for the whole afternoon, which made her shudder just thinking about it. So Toyama Tobi sat in the car and watched three bleak figures and a figure who was as victorious as a general returning from the office enter the stairs. Hattori, feel the belated greeting gift from Beaker Town. Chapter 157. What the hell is this building? Why is it asymmetrical? Hattori Hiji felt the enthusiasm of Mika. When Hattori Hiji woke up from the hospital the next afternoon, he felt as if he was in another world and immediately declared that it was good to be alive. Then, before the Mori family could react, Hattori Hiji even left the luggage in the office. He took the Shinkansen back to Osaka overnight. Oh my god. Tokyo is such a dangerous place. Hattori Hiji almost thought he could not go back to Tokyo. Hattori Hiji's life was exchanged for the lives of Maori Kagoro, Maori Ran, and Conan. Osaka Black Chicken can definitely be said to be a half winner. The Maori family was also very sorry for Hattori Hiji's departure without saying goodbye. What a good international friend. How could he leave just like that? Although Hattori Hiji left Tokyo and returned to Osaka, the two death gods of Mika are still online. After the diplomat incident, Maori Kagoro completed many commissions one after another. He also killed many clients or innocent passers-by. But there was no sign of Toyama Tobi among them. So what was Toyama Tobi doing? Toyama Tobi was carrying out targeted fraud activities near the Mika Municipal Building. The so-called targeted fraud activities are like this now failure. This building is such a failure. How on earth was this thing built? Toyama Tobi suddenly walked up to a person, stood behind him, and cursed at the Mika Municipal Building. The passerby who was startled by Toyama Tobi looked back at Toyama Tobi in astonishment, and then hurried away. It seemed that something unclean would be provoked a little later. This is a normal behavior of normal people. This kind of behavior of suddenly running up to someone else and cursing at a building will generally not attract the support of other people. Because most normal people will regard people who do this as crazy. Just like the passerby who just escaped. Although the man was wearing a windbreaker and a hat, it was indeed because of the weather that he was not the person Toyama Tobi wanted to find. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, now, when another man in a windbreaker appeared in Yuan Shinfei's field of vision, he confirmed that he had not seen this figure before and walked over lightly. He said the indignant words again, but this time he did not scare away the man in the windbreaker next to him. The man in the windbreaker turned around, and Yuan Shinfei found that he was not only wearing a hat, but also a mask. At this time of year, not many people wear masks when going out, unless there are some reasons why they have to wear them. The man in the windbreaker with a mask did not leave after hearing Yuan Shenfei's words, but turned around and asked him, "Oh, do you also think this building is a failed work?" "Of course, do you think so too?" Yuan Shenfei looked at the man in the windbreaker with a mask with an expression of heroism. "Everyone says that Moriarty G is a world-class architect, but I think he's just so-so. The lower part of this Bihua municipal building looks okay, but what's that thing on the top? What about the aesthetics of architecture? What about the symmetry of British classical architecture? They've all been eaten by dogs. What's the point of just changing your name?" Yuan Shenfei became more and more intense, and in the end he even cursed Moriarty G from a distance. Although Yuan Shenfei cursed Moriarty G so much, the person wearing a mask and a windbreaker didn't feel offended at all. Because even Moriarty G himself thinks this Bihua municipal building is a pile of shit. Originally, this Bihua municipal building had the opportunity to become a perfect building, but the group of builders actually said that there was not enough construction funds due to the collapse of the bubble economy. Then because of this ridiculous reason, someone was asked to change his design without authorization. If he hadn't planned to blow up this building completely, Moriarty G would probably never come to this sad place in his life. It was originally just a normal pre-crime scouting behavior, but unexpectedly, Moriarty G met a confidant here. This person's comments on the building are just like his own mouthpiece. In addition, he is so annoyed that he wants to blow up the building. His honest and reliable temperament makes Moriarty G never think that this is a long-planned fraud. That's right, the man who wants to bet on the Bihua municipal building is the man in front of him, Moriarty G, who is in the late stage of obsessive-compulsive disorder. The time after the diplomat incident is quite delicate. In the previous life, this time period happened to be the release of Conan's movie M1. If we use the incident as a reference, then the first villain of the movie, Moriarty G, should appear at about this time. Toyama Tobi calculated that if Moriarty G wanted to blow up this failed Bihua municipal building, he would definitely come to the scene to check it out. So he waited here for many days, and today he really waited for the real owner. After realizing that he had found the real boss, Toyama Tobi stood there calmly and complained to Moriarty G about the ugliness of the Bihua municipal building. Then Toyama Tobi stood up and said goodbye. Moriarty G, who met a confidant for the first time at the age of nearly 50, liked this little brother who spoke well and was like a worm in his stomach. He didn't talk enough with Toyama Tobi at this moment. Seeing that Toyama Tobi was about to leave without even leaving his contact information, he hurriedly pulled Toyama Tobi. This person is a scumbag. If Toyama Tobi had taken the initiative to ask Moriarty G for his contact information, Moriarty G would definitely be alert. But it was Toyama Tobi's no desire and no request that made Moriarty G completely let down his guard and even pulled Toyama Tobi to find a place to talk by candlelight. After 3 requests and 3 rejections, Toyama Tobi finally couldn't resist Moriarty G's enthusiasm and followed him to a very private tavern. In the box, Toyama Tobi looked at Moriarty G, who was gradually removing his disguise, and opened his mouth in shock. You are Professor Moriarty G. Moriarty G smiled reservedly. He didn't know why, but he always felt that this kind of feeling of showing off in front of others was inexplicably pleasant. Of course, it's genuine. After saying this, Moriarty G found that Toyama Tobi's eyes had changed when he looked at him. Toyama Tobi stood up suddenly, then spat at Moriarty G, slapped the table, and prepared to leave on the spot. This is for that shitty rice flour municipal building. You designed a building like that, and you have the nerve to show up in front of me. I really want to tie you up in that building and blow it up completely. Gao Muse, good guy. Halo was fully turned on again, and Toyama Tobi's credibility was rising. Even Moriarty G believed that Toyama Tobi was really planning to blow up the building at this moment. He hurriedly grabbed Yuan Shen's door. No, it's not like that. Listen to my explanation. Chapter 158, The Honest Elder, Professor Maritani. Are you saying that the reason why the building was built like this is because the builder said that they didn't have enough construction funds because of the collapse of the bubble economy? Moriarty G grabbed Yuan Shenfei and gave a sincere explanation. Yuan Shenfei seemed half believing and half doubting after listening. Yes, that's it. Moriarty looked at Yuan Shenfei sincerely, trying to let Yuan Shenfei see his sincerity through his eyes. Really? I don't believe it. Yuan Shenfei directly gave Moriarty a speechless and ruthless job like Liu Yu. Of course, he didn't make Moriarty too embarrassed, so he asked back, how do you prove that what you said is true? How do you prove that you didn't give up responsibility for your work because of money? Although Yuan Shenfei's words were questioning, they made Moriarty applaud in his heart. He thought that Yuan Shenfei was right. Architects should have a clear understanding of beauty and need to pay a stronger sense of responsibility. It's a pity that Yuan Shenfei is not an architect, otherwise Moriarty would never have thought that it would be a pleasant thing for the two of them to work together. As the saying goes, a soulmate is found in the mountains and rivers. Moriarty believed from the bottom of his heart that Toyama Tobi was his confidant whom he had never met, but his reason told Moriarty that they had just met, and he could not tell Toyama Tobi so hastily about his plan. So Moriarty could only vaguely tell Toyama Tobi that it would not be long before Toyama Tobi would see how he was responsible for his imperfect building. Today, please let Toyama Tobi forget about this matter for the time being, and let Toyama Tobi toast to the two of them who hit it off at first sight. Toyama Tobi, who felt that the time was about right, was very willing to follow suit. He happily clinked glasses with Moriarty. As the two of them toasted each other, Moriarty soon got tipsy. For Moriarty, who was in the late stage of obsessive compulsive disorder, Toyama Tobi knew too well what he liked to hear. After drinking a lot of wine, Moriarty's eyes were full of brilliance, and he even invited Toyama Tobi to change his career and become an architect during the meal. Moriarty has always felt that talent is very important in the field of architects. People without talent can only be a craftsman who can only copy and paste. But Toyama Tobi is obviously very talented. With the support of Toyama Tobi's talent, plus the advice and help of this internationally renowned architect, he can learn the basics quickly. At the same time, Moriarty has always had a dream in his heart. The Nishitama Newtown plan, which was abandoned because the former mayor was in jail, has always been a thorn in Moriarty's heart. It is also a permanent regret. After his imperfect works are cleared up, Moriarty will find a way to re-promote the Nishitama Newtown plan. If he can get the help of Toyama Tobi at that time, it will greatly improve Moriarty's efficiency. So, Toyama-kun, what I said just now is definitely not a joke. If you are willing to become an architect, I will do my best to help you. When the banquet was about to end, after having enough wine and food, Moriarty brought up the old matter again. Although his cheeks were still flushed with wine, his eyes were full of seriousness. Become an architect. After discovering that there was an unexpected gain, Toyama Tobi immediately entered the Thousand Faces movie Emperor mode, and the clarity in his eyes disappeared. Instead, he was filled with yearning. To be honest, becoming an architect has always been my dream, but life forced me to choose to be a detective agent. Who makes detectives so profitable? Toyama Tobi laughed at himself, and the bitterness in his tone made those who heard and saw it cry. In ancient times, if this time came up with a paragraph about Yu's love of learning when he was young, it would be too appropriate. Of course, Toyama Tobi obviously did not have such literary talent, but even with these plain words, the image of a person who was forced by life to choose a career he did not like, just to make a living also appeared vividly in front of Moriarty. Toyama Tobi vowed that being an architect has always been his dream, although he could not become an architect due to the hardship of life. But he has always been learning about things related to architects, which is why he is so dissatisfied with the Biho Municipal Building. This statement greatly moved Moriarty. Toyama Tobi's persistence in his original intention is extremely rare among the young generation of architects. He had a feeling in his heart about this. This little brother should be my last disciple. How rare it is to meet such a student in life. Professor Moriya has countless students who have listened to his lectures throughout his life. Only Yuan Shenfei can best inherit his ideas, and has the greatest hope of inheriting his legacy. Moriarty made a decision immediately. Toyama-kun, I have seen all your persistence. So starting from tomorrow, you will quit your job as an agent, and come to me. I will teach you step by step to become an excellent, not the best architect. We are called employed, but in fact we are teacher and student, which means confidant. As for life, you don't have to worry at all. Believe me, the income of an architect is definitely not worse than that of a so-called detective agent. Professor Mariah. Toyama-kun. Professor Mariah. Toyama-kun. This worship, system prompt, you have obtained a new direct leader, Mariah TG. System prompt, you received the entry reward from your direct leader Mariah TG. Perfect architect, tray. With this tray, your use of explosives is greatly enhanced. With this tray, your understanding of architecture is greatly enhanced, and you can accurately find the key nodes of buildings. With this tray, your learning ability in the construction related industry is greatly improved. Acquire this tray and your temperament will develop towards the direction of a refined scholar. Note: use the least amount of explosives to blow up the tallest building. Brother Jin no longer has to worry about you wasting organizational resources. Mariah TG. Oh no, it's the respected Professor Mariah. He really is. I'm crying. What a rare honest man. Toyama Tobi watched the taxi carrying Mariah TG go away, slowly wiping away the tears from the corners of his eyes because of being moved. Once a professor for life. Facing such a loyal elder, Toyama Tobi felt that he was lucky in 3 lifetimes. With this thought, Yuan Shenfei immediately took out his cell phone and dialed a number. When the call was connected, he couldn't wait to say, "Vodka Senior, are you asleep? I'll give you an address. Come quickly. There's a big job. The kind of big deal that will make Brother Jin so happy that he can't sleep for 3 days." Vodka, who had worked overtime for a month, had just sent Jin back and was about to go home. After receiving Yuan Shenfei's call, he sat in the driver's seat for a long time, then sighed and started the car engine. They are all big brothers. I can't afford to offend them. Chapter 159. Guns. Lots of guns. Late at night, in an unknown izakaya. As the night progressed, drunken office workers in the izakaya began to stagger and say goodbye to their colleagues, leaving the izakaya slowly. In a corner of the izakaya, Toyama Tobi looked at Vodka, who wore sunglasses even at night, and fell into deep thought. "Senior Vodka, you." Toyama Tobi pointed at the sunglasses on his nose. "Is it really okay?" Facing Toyama Tobi's concern, Vodka remained silent for a long time, then sat opposite Toyama Tobi and slowly took off his sunglasses. Hiss. Toyama Tobi looked at Vodka's appearance after he took off his sunglasses in shock and sighed in horror. No wonder Vodka wears sunglasses all day long. If he took off his sunglasses during the day, people might think he was a giant panda spirit. Could this man's dark circles be so dark? Exclamation mark. For the first time, Toyama Tobi was worried about his decision. Would calling Vodka out today cause him to suddenly die tomorrow? "Senior, have a drink." Without saying anything, Toyama Tobi filled a glass of Vodka's cup. "Don't say anything, just drink it. There is no such thing as a peaceful life in the organization. It is obvious that someone is working hard for them. Without Senior Vodka and Brother Jin working hard to complete tasks and make money outside, how could these members of the organization squander and live recklessly? It is easy to go from luxury to frugality, but it is difficult to go from simplicity to luxury. It is unlikely that Toyama Tobi will stop squandering the funds that Brother and Senior have saved with great difficulty. Toyama Tobi can only accompany him with a glass of wine to show respect. "Brother Toyama, you are a good man." Vodka saw Toyama Tobi's expression constantly changing, from surprise to sympathy, from sympathy to gratitude, and immediately imagined Toyama Tobi's mental journey. As the new thousand-face movie King of Mihla, Toyama Tobi thinks one thing in his mind and shows another thing on his face. Isn't this a basic operation? After drinking 3 glasses in one breath, Vodka wiped his face vigorously with a handkerchief and said to Yuan Shenfei solemnly, "Yuan Shen, you are a good guy. Tell me, if you need my help, I will never refuse." Vodka's heroic spirit and righteousness made Yuan Shenfei shake his head silently in his heart. He was at a loss, just after praising our Senior Vodka. How could Yuan Shenfei easily owe favors for doing things? If one day Yuan Shenfei leads major intelligence agencies into the organization, they will still owe Vodka a favor. At that time, should he not let him go, or should he kill him to silence him? The hateful little Vodka actually wants to frame our master Yuan Shen for being unkind and unjust. Exclamation mark. I'm Toyama Tobi, the agent of the famous detective Maori Kagoro, a supernova under Brother Gin, a trusted minister of Brother Rum, a disciple of Professor T.G. Moriah, a world-class architect, and an old friend of the Metropolitan Police Department. If I owe someone a favor for doing something, wouldn't that be like begging on my knees? Master Toyama, I finally traveled through time, and it's not appropriate for me to beg on my knees in Beaker Town. Facing Vodka's lack of self-awareness, Toyama Tobi began to reason with Vodka in a serious tone. Senior, why do you have such dark circles under your eyes now? Of course it's to complete the organization's mission. Vodka said as a matter of course. Whether it's following Brother Gin to kill people, or making money with Brother Gin, in the end, it's the mission assigned by the organization. Rum is very smart in this regard. Although the intelligence team under Rum goes out to work, and does big work, those groups and companies need follow-up operations. If we only count the cash flow that can be taken out at once, Rum's intelligence team can't come out as much as Gin's action team. There's nothing we can do about it, because Gin only takes cash every time he works. But because Rum is a company with a high market value, it seems to contribute more. If we really want to argue about who has made a greater contribution to world science, it's undoubtedly Gin. If Rum is compared to the management of the company who can only make PPT, then Gin belongs to the practical group in the company. As a pragmatic subordinate, Vodka was really suffering. So Yuan Shenfei began to persuade Vodka, Senior, look, haven't you found the root cause of why you and Brother Gin are busy from morning to night? The development of the organization requires money, but we can't get a large sum of money out of thin air. In other words, as long as we can get an unexpected fortune, doesn't it mean that Brother Gin can take a break for a while? If Brother Gin takes a break, can't you, Senior, also take a break for a few days? At least you can get a good sleep. Now I have a good opportunity here, which can make us a fortune. If that's the case. Vodka's eyes lit up after hearing this, but then his eyes dimmed again. Useless Brother Yuanshan, I appreciate your kindness. But you don't know the amount of funds our organization needs. The funds you sent before are just a drop in the bucket. The organization's research on drug A cannot be entirely entrusted to Shirley, and the drug laboratory cannot be limited to Beiju Pharmaceutical. It can only be said that Shirley has indeed inherited the talents of her parents, and her research on drug A is more in-depth than others. It is well known that drug research and development is a money-burning business, not to mention that the research is about drugs that can reverse time and revive the dead. Yuan Shenfei showed a look of understanding, lowered his body, and moved closer to Vodka. Of course I know that the organization needs a lot of money, but believe me, this time it is definitely not the kind of small fights like before. Seeing Yuan Shenfei so serious, Vodka also knew that he was not a person who talked nonsense, and the whole person suddenly became curious. So what exactly do you mean by the windfall you are talking about, Brother Yuanshan? Yuan Shenfei smiled slightly, but did not speak, but dipped his finger in the wine, and wrote on the dark table, Eastern Arsenal, Eastern Arsenal, Arsenal, gurgle. Vodka swallowed the last word of this sentence, raised his head, and looked at Yuan Shenfei in shock. His eyes were full of don't tell me you are serious. Vodka knew that Toyama Tobi's thinking was sometimes very different from that of ordinary people. He learned this when he was chatting with Conan and Chianti. But he never expected that Toyama Tobi would dare to set his sights on the Oriental Arsenal. Big brother, big boss, big daddy. That's the fucking arsenal. A few days ago, Big Brother Gin repeatedly emphasized the importance of keeping a low profile, keeping a low profile, and keeping a low profile. Daddy Toyama, do you understand what it means to be low-key? Exclamation mark. Looking at Vodka's dumbfounded expression, Toyama Tobi smiled calmly. Relax, Senior, relax. Since I dare to set my sights on the arsenal, I must have a lot of confidence. Listen to me. Chapter 160 My Architect Teacher. Toyama Tobi's in-depth and easy to understand narration completely froze Vodka's already not very smart brain. He picked up the wine jug beside him and drank the whole jug without pouring it into the wine cup. Toyama Tobi hurriedly picked up the bottle beside him and refilled Vodka's glass. Vodka licked his slightly dry lips and asked with difficulty, you said you knew a professor of architecture? Yes. The professor is planning to blow up the Beacon Municipal Building recently. Not only the Beacon Municipal Building, he is planning to blow up all his previous works, including but not limited to several residential buildings and a bridge on the Tokyo Loop line. Even if he plans to blow up all these things, how much explosives can he use? Besides, there is no need to attack the arsenal for this little explosives. Vodka's mind is now full of confusion. Judging from the current situation in Beaker Town, it is not difficult to buy bombs. This thing is something that anyone who is interested can buy with a little attention. Anyway, if it was Vodka, he would definitely not take such a big risk to steal explosives from the armory. Maybe this is the quirk of perfectionist intellectuals? Toyama Tobi also couldn't understand, but he didn't intend to delve into it. If we really want to delve into the murderer of the entire Beaker Town, there are only a few normal people. When everyone is not normal, wouldn't Toyama Tobi, a normal person, be very abnormal? Vodka is also considered a half-educated person. He is so good at using computers that he can't be just a driver. However, he also deeply agrees with Toyama Tobi's words. There are many weirdos in the organization, so what's wrong with more weirdos in society? This is very reasonable. The only problem now is Toyama, the architect, plans to steal some explosives. If we empty the armory, can he bear such a big responsibility? Vodka is not afraid of anything else, but mainly afraid that if Moriarty is caught by the police, he will not be able to withstand the police's interrogation and confess that he stole explosives. When the police see that, they will find that the person who stole the explosives and the person who helped move the arsenal are not the same person. The Metropolitan Police Department will probably strengthen the whole Tokyo. The arsenal is not like a bank. If the money is lost, you can just look for it slowly. Anyway, the bank in Bihar is accustomed to being robbed every few days and has summarized a set of response plans. But if the things in the arsenal are not found for a long time, won't the bigwigs sitting in the office go crazy? Toyama Tobi has a plan for this. Don't worry, after the operation is over, there will be no one named Moriarty in the market. We just need to take the things out and let Rum worry about the rest. Isn't Rum good at handling such emergencies? Toyama Tobi not only thought of the action plan, but also selected the people who would clean up their messes afterwards. Brother Gin is an excellent executor, and his level of killing, setting fire and blowing up buildings is well known. But when it comes to playing tricks, Rum is better. After all, Yuan Shinfei and the others did this to contribute to the organization. What's wrong with a leader cleaning up his subordinates' messes? Vodka took out a cigarette and handed it to Yuan Shinfei, then took out one and put it in his mouth. After puffing away smoke for half an hour, Vodka's eyes turned red. Drink it. Vodka extinguished the lit cigarette with his bare hands, and a strong stern look appeared on his face. What Yuan Shin said was right. If he continued to follow Brother Jin to do such high intensity tasks, he would die suddenly sooner or later. As the saying goes, if you don't take what God gives you, you will suffer the consequences. Since Yuan Shin's plan is so detailed, Vodka has to accept Yuan Shinfei's kindness. If he dithers, he is not a man. Isn't it just a small Japanese arsenal? Get rid of him. Having made the decision, Vodka no longer hesitated. After asking how many people were needed for the operation, he immediately got up and returned to the organization to count the manpower. If they just wanted to sneak into the Oriental Arsenal to get some munitions, Vodka and Toyama Tobi could do the job. But if they wanted to empty the arsenal, they would need more things. There had to be people responsible for the action, loading, driving, and guarding. If necessary, there had to be people left behind to cover the rear. Time was running out, and there wasn't much time left for Vodka to rest. Of course, these had to be done without telling Big Brother Jin. If Big Brother Jin knew about it in advance, how could it be considered a surprise? After parting with Vodka, Toyama Tobi returned to the hotel. The next morning, he called Maurika Goro and said that he needed to find a place to study during this period and would not go to the office for the time being. Maurika Goro patted his chest and assured Toyama Tobi that the office was now on the right track. Maurika Goro just happened to be dealing with the backlog of commissions during this period. After explaining the various matters of the office to Maurika Goro, Toyama Tobi appeared at Moriarty's house on time. Moriarty welcomed the arrival of Toyama Tobi. In the teaching of Moriarty, he once again confirmed his idea. Toyama Tobi is definitely their genius in learning architecture. He can learn all kinds of things once he is taught, and he can even draw inferences from one thing. During the teaching, Moriarty also found that Toyama Tobi has a more outstanding talent in building blasting. Just for this talent, Toyama Tobi is destined to be the successor of the Moriarty system. Moriarty originally thought that he would delay the handling of those imperfect buildings because of teaching Toyama Tobi. As a result, it seems that he is teaching and setting fires at the same time. In the news reports, Toyama Tobi also realized that Moriarty had begun his own actions. So whenever there was a news report that Moriarty's early works were burned, Toyama Tobi would act as if he was very appreciative. The two of them were the kind of people who saw through, but did not say it, and kept a tacit understanding. I know you burned that house, but I think there is nothing wrong with you burning it. I know you know that I burned down the house. Since you think there is nothing wrong with me, I admire you even more. For a while, Toyama Tobi and Moriarty were like soulmates, and they were in cahoots with each other. Finally, after a period of intensive teaching, Moriarty told Toyama Tobi that he was going to hold a tea party in his own manner. Toyama Tobi knew that the time for Moriarty to steal the explosives from the Oriental arsenal was not far away, but he still pretended to be confused and asked, "Professor, why do you suddenly want to hold a tea party?" Moriarty smiled reservedly. "There are two purposes for holding this tea party. One is to introduce you to others as my last student. The second is, come with me." Moriarty took Toyama Tobi to his collection room, which contained all the works he had completed since his debut. Chapter 161. This child is like me. Look, this is my dream. Arriving at the collection room, Moriarty pulled off the dust sheet covering the sand table in the center of the room. A completely symmetrical block appeared in front of Toyama Tobi. "Oh, God. She's so beautiful." Toyama Tobi gave a heartfelt compliment in a standard British accent. Moriarty spent his time in the UK until high school, and Toyama Tobi's fluent British accent was just right. Moriarty nodded reservedly and introduced the sand table in front of him to Toyama Tobi. "Nishitama new town plan. This is the best work I have designed so far in my life." Unfortunately, Moriarty changed the subject. His face changed, and the whole person behaved more like a large-scale schizophrenia scene. "It's a pity that the damn Kudo Shinichi ruined my plan." Kudo Shinichi? Yes, it's Kudo Shinichi. Moriarty gritted his teeth and said, "The second purpose of my tea party is to ask Kudo Shinichi to help me with the reasoning. That is enough to ruin his reputation." Toyama Tobi was also a little helpless about the lag of Moriarty's information. "Brother, when you are looking for revenge, don't you investigate in advance? How long has your enemy disappeared?" "Professor, as far as I know, Kudo Shinichi seems to have not appeared in public for a long time. Maybe there is an accident?" Toyama Tobi reminded Moriarty implicitly. Although Moriarty sending an invitation letter to Kudo Shinichi will trigger the arrival of the Mori family, Toyama Tobi is a detective after all. At this time, it is natural to help our loyal elder Professor Moriarty solve problems. "How about this, Professor? We have a double insurance. If Kudo Shinichi comes, the plan will go on as usual. If he doesn't come, we can use Detective Mori. How about it?" Toyama Tobi's thoughtfulness touched Moriarty again, and he immediately adopted Toyama Tobi's suggestion. In the evening, Toyama Tobi helped Moriarty to finish the invitation letters. All the invitation letters were handwritten, and after the wax was ironed, they were placed aside waiting for the courier to come. The tea party was held as scheduled on the weekend. As an internationally renowned architect, Moriarty's guests who came to the tea party were naturally upper-class people. Maori Kagoro, who came to Moriarty's manor with an invitation letter, was in the courtyard using a cheat sheet to explain to Maori-lan how awesome Moriarty was. Just when Maori Kagoro was about to be exposed, Toyama Tobi appeared in front of the three people at the right time. "Brother Maori, you are here." Maori Kagoro, "Brother Toyama?" Maori-ran, "Brother Toyama?" Conan, "Huh." The three people in the office knew who Toyama Tobi was studying with during this period, and Maori Kagoro and Ran didn't think much about it. Conan just thought that Toyama Tobi was called away by the organization to perform some tasks. He planned to wait for Toyama Tobi to come back and ask him indirectly or spend some money to buy some information. Unexpectedly, he met Toyama Tobi in the manner of architect Moriarty. What's going on? Could it be that Moriarty is also a member of the black organization? Conan shuddered all over, and a very outrageous guess emerged in his mind. If Toyama Tobi knew what Conan was thinking, he would definitely laugh out loud. Why does the organization need an architect? Is it convenient to make plans before blowing up the building? Our organization has always been particular about strong people making bricks fly, Toyama Tobi told them. Why he was here? Isn't it because Toyama Tobi is gifted? So your comments on architecture were overheard by Professor Moriarty, and he thought you were very talented, so he accepted you as his last disciple. Mauri Kagoro was dumbfounded. He always thought that brother Toyama had something in him, but he didn't expect that there were too many of them. To the extent that an internationally renowned architect thought he had talent and wanted to accept him as a disciple. How terrifying must that talent be? Conan didn't think that Toyama Tobi was talented, but was shocked by his social skills. After getting along with the detectives of the Metropolitan Police Department, did Toyama Tobi finally extend his claws to other industries? Let's go, brother Maori, I'll take you to the tea party venue. Moriarty's tea party was held in the backyard of the manor, and he prepared the meals and cakes for the guests at the party independently. That's right, Toyama Tobi originally wanted to help, but after wasting no less than 10 sets of materials, he was driven out by Moriarty who couldn't bear it anymore. The image of Toyama Tobi that was originally somewhat illusory in Moriarty's mind became completely real at this moment. Toyama Tobi and Moriarty are too similar. So similar that Moriarty sometimes even feels like he is looking in the mirror. Especially as he learns more, Toyama Tobi's temperament becomes more and more elegant, and this similarity makes Moriarty feel a little strange. Now, Moriarty has finally found the difference between Toyama Tobi and himself. This difference makes Moriarty more relaxed. This kind of subclassification is a very high degree of praise, but similar does not mean exactly the same. If two almost identical strangers meet in the world, the scene must be quite terrifying. During the banquet, Moriarty introduced Toyama Tobi to everyone present as his close disciple. Toyama Tobi also received a large number of business cards, although the effectiveness of use of these business cards will soon disappear with Moriarty's crime. But it doesn't matter. If Professor Moriarty is gone, there is still a backup, Maori. In the eyes of Toyama Tobi, these upper class people are all excellent future partners of the firm. Hello, boss, do you need help to investigate whether your partner has cheated? As expected by Toyama Tobi, Kudo Shinichi did not show up, which made Moriarty a little regretful. But he still took out the guessing game. The answer was cracked by Conan, and Moriarty looked quite surprised. Unexpectedly, the arsenal password that had troubled him for a long time was deduced by a child. This is really, it should be said, that Conan's actions really saved Mauri Kagoro's detective career. Otherwise, when the police investigated the matter afterwards, once people knew that the password of the arsenal was cracked by Mauri Kagoro, even if Mauri Kagoro was unintentional, he would inevitably be criticized. But it doesn't matter if the password was cracked by a child. Everyone will point the finger at the management of the arsenal. Are you all brain dead? The designed password can even be guessed by a little boy. After the tea party, many guests gradually left. After all the guests left the manor, the cleaning company hired by Moriarty finished cleaning the manor, and the two sat on the sofa, a little tired. Moriarty said to Toyama Tobi, Toyama-kun, the class tonight is suspended. I have to go out for a while. Okay, Professor, please be safe and everything goes well. Neither of them spoke again. After a brief look at each other, they nodded heavily. Everything is self-evident. Chapter 162, Rice Flower Settlement Sage. The bell has been sent. Please check it. After Toyama Tobi left Moriarty's manor, an email was sent to Vodka's mobile phone. After seeing it, Vodka silently put away his mobile phone and slowly stood up. Chianti and Cohen on the opposite side looked at Vodka at the same time. Chianti asked Vodka with dissatisfaction. I said, Vodka, what is the mission you called us here for? You should tell us now. Vodka nodded and slowly talked about Toyama Tobi's Eastern Arsenal relocation plan. After listening to Vodka's plan, even Chianti felt shocked. Don't say it. You really don't say it. After being a sniper in the organization for so many years, this is the first time she has heard of such a bold plan. How did she say it? It's so satisfying. It's so damn satisfying. But then Chianti's eyes flashed with suspicion. Something is wrong. Vodka, you are very wrong. Such a plan is not something you can come up with. Are you trying to betray Gin by getting in touch with Rum? When Vodka heard what Chianti said, he hurriedly explained. How is it possible? My loyalty to brother Gin is known to all. In fact, this plan was proposed by Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi? When Chianti heard the name, the scene when Toyama Tobi passed the final assessment of the official members reappeared in front of her. Toyama Tobi was the only person in her life who she felt had some mental problems, so it was reasonable for him to come up with such an outrageous plan. Anyway, once this plan is successful, the money you can get is secondary. The important thing is that the opportunity to take a vacation is just around the corner. Vodka gritted his teeth, but Chianti could understand Vodka's feelings. Don't think that Gin and Vodka are the only two people who work overtime on missions. Many missions require snipers to cover from a distance. Chianti and Conan stayed with the sniper rifle for half a day. Chianti was not against overtime, but these missions basically let them act as insurance. In other words, they could not shoot. Do you know how painful it is for a psychopath who is keen on giving people a lot of ideas about using sniper rifles to only be able to watch but not move? It's like you have already peeled off the skin of the juicy fruit plate in the fruit store, and then suddenly found that there was a band-aid under the skin. This is not just uncomfortable, it's too uncomfortable. So facing this mission, Chianti had only one question. Hey, Vodka, let me ask you, can I shoot in this mission? Yes. There will definitely be a chance for you to show your skills. Vodka nodded vigorously, and Chianti immediately made the decision. Okay, let's do it. At the assembly point 1 kilometer away from the Toyo Arsenal, Yuan Shenfei drove an Aston Martin late. As soon as he arrived, Chianti couldn't wait to stick his head out of the car window and complain to Yuan Shenfei. I said you are so slow. Yuan Shenfei ignored Chianti's complaints, but greeted Chianti with a smile. Senior Chianti, long time no see. Facing Yuan Shenfei's elegant and honest smile, Chianti shuddered all over. This is not right. Yuan Shenfei nodded to Conan, and then asked Vodka, how is the situation? As the main commander of this operation, Vodka is responsible for commanding the actions of all formal members. Formal members are ordinary members, at the same level as Yuan Shenfei. It is useless for Vodka to be an external member in this operation. Vodka, sitting in the car, has been collecting intelligence sent back by various observation posts through wireless communication. After a moment, he said to Toyama Tobi in a deep voice, Moriarty has successfully entered the arsenal. If there are no accidents, he will soon get what he wants. But what? But I think his actions have been discovered by the people in the arsenal. According to Vodka's summary of the intelligence from various observation posts, he got a very bad news for them. That is, Moriarty's actions may not be as hidden as they thought. It is very likely that Moriarty's plan has long been noticed by the managers of the arsenal. But Vodka couldn't figure out why the arsenal management, since they already knew his plan, would let him act. Was he bribed? Or, I guess the arsenal should have deliberately let Professor Moriarty succeed in his actions. A strange light flashed in Toyama Tobi's eyes. When watching this movie in his previous life, Toyama Tobi felt that Moriarty succeeded in stealing the arsenal too easily. And the password of the Eastern Arsenal was too sloppy. What kind of Momotaro was it? He could even find a pattern from the 3 managers. How could a normal arsenal set up such an outrageous password? That would be dereliction of duty and a crime. But in this life, Toyama Tobi thought of a possibility. What if Moriarty's theft plan was also included in the arsenal management's plan? You know, in Beaker Town, not only is cyanide rampant, but all kinds of guns and bombs are also quite rampant. With so many arms, it is impossible for an organization to take up such a large market share alone. What if someone from the arsenal comes out to share the cake? The appearance of Moriarty made the Arsenal party vaguely aware of the hope of settling the accounts, so they changed to the sloppy password, just to let Moriarty act as the account settling saint of Beaker Town. Toyama Tobi's words made Vodka swallow his saliva. When it comes to making money, it is more convenient for these people with official status. What should we do then? Should we continue with our plan? Vodka asked worriedly. Of course we have to continue. Yuan Shenfei said as a matter of course. Don't worry about whether the management of the Arsenal has discovered Professor Maria's plan. Their code is real. As long as we can knock on the door of the Arsenal, what does it matter whether they find it or not? Yuan Shenfei wanted to teach the Dangyang Arsenal a lesson this time. If you want to settle the account, you have to divide the spoils first. Master Vodka, the bell has left the Arsenal. Vodka looked at Yuan Shenfei, and Yuan Shenfei nodded fiercely. Let's move. Yuan Shenfei got out of the car and came to Vodka's car. He took the bandit hood handed over by Vodka and put it on his head. Vodka drove straight to the Dangyang Arsenal, and Chianti and Cohen immediately came to the sniper position they had found long ago. The Dangyang Arsenal also took great pains to allow Moriarty to succeed. Today, the defense of the Arsenal was extremely lax. Under the cover of the sniper, many members of the organization rushed directly into the entrance of the Arsenal and opened the door. By the time the Arsenal management reacted, it was too late. The Arsenal suffered heavy casualties. Yuan Shenfei and Vodka went directly to the monitoring room and blocked the person in charge on duty tonight. Yuan Shenfei didn't waste any time and shot the person in charge to death. Vodka also dealt with the guards in the monitoring room. After destroying the monitoring and all the stored videos, Yuan Shenfei looked at the time. We only have 30 minutes, hurry up. If the picture doesn't appear, it means it is under review. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Brother Gin, we just executed a perfect infiltration mission. Oh my god, I'm back late. Let's get started. To be honest, the formal members selected by Vodka are really quick and agile. According to the division of labor that had been made long ago, a group of formal members began to work busy moving. Yuan Shenfei kept an eye on the time while communicating with the surrounding sentries, Cohen and Chianti, and continued to pay attention to the situation around the Arsenal. Fortunately, the site of the Dangyang Arsenal was chosen in a sparsely populated area, and the movement of the assault on the Arsenal has not been discovered yet. Everyone pay attention. 10 minutes countdown. Yuan Shenfei reminded the time on the public channel, and all the members of the organization moved faster. 5 minutes. 3 minutes. 1 minute. Time is up. Everyone get on the bus immediately and evacuate according to the plan. The 30-minute 0 yuan purchase countdown ended, and Yuan Shenfei gave an order, and all the members in the Arsenal stopped what they were doing and got on the bus to leave. Toyama Tobi underestimated the munitions reserves in the Toyo Arsenal. Although they brought many men with them this time, they still couldn't empty all the munitions in the Toyo Arsenal at once. They moved almost 3/4 of the munitions in the Arsenal, and even the members of the organization who boarded the car could only curl up in the corner of the car, squeezed together with countless munitions. Let's go. Toyama Tobi nodded to Vodka, left the monitoring room, and returned to the car. Vodka started the car and took the lead in leaving the Toyo Arsenal. After all the trucks used for moving left the Arsenal, several trucks returned to the base in batches according to different routes. The routes of the trucks were designed by Vodka, and he personally checked them out. These routes are far away from crowded places, and are rarely patrolled by the police on weekdays. The reason why these trucks were separated was also for safety reasons. Beaker Town is a magical place. No matter what happens here, Toyama Tobi will not find it strange. Even if a truck is really unlucky and is stopped by the police for inspection, with them attracting the police's attention, other trucks can return to the organization's base more safely. Yuan Shenfei keeps in touch with each truck in real time on the car and asks the person in charge of each car about the vehicle every 5 minutes. These trucks have remote controlled bombs secretly installed by Vodka. Once a car is discovered or stopped by the police, the organization members on the car are the first line of defense for the cargo vehicles. When the police's attention is attracted by them and other trucks return to the base, Vodka will detonate the bomb. The ammunition on the car is definitely impossible to destroy, but it doesn't matter as long as no member of the organization on the car survives. This style of behavior is obviously old Jin. Fortunately, both for Yuan Shenfei and for the official members on the truck, they are lucky enough today. Everything went smoothly and all the trucks arrived at the organization's base on time. When the last truck entered the base, the gate of the base slowly closed, as if nothing had happened. Another group of formal members inside the base left the base at the instruction of Vodka, starting from the base and checking along the route they returned. On the one hand, they checked whether the vehicles had accidentally dropped anything, and on the other hand, they were alert to the small tails that might follow them in secret. Heavy trucks drove into the base's underground warehouse. Yuan Shenfumi and Vodka got off the trucks and looked at each other. They saw some surprise and disbelief in each other's eyes. An arsenal in the capital area. They moved most of it so easily. Just when Yuan Shenfumi and Vodka were about to enter the base and take the elevator to the underground to check their harvest tonight, suddenly, at the door of the base, they saw someone they didn't expect. Brother Jin. Brother Jin. The one who stuttered was obviously Vodka, who was frightened by suddenly meeting Jin. What are you two doing? Why did you mobilize so many formal members today? Jin frowned and asked Yuan Shenfumi and Vodka. Jin summoned such a large number of official members without saying a word, including 2 snipers trained by the organization with a lot of money. This kind of thing would be enough to make Jin completely alert if it happened to anyone. Trust is a luxury for Jin, who is very suspicious, but he never hesitates to trust Vodka. Jin believes that if one day he is at the end of his rope, Vodka is probably the only one in the entire organization who can save him at all costs. As for the other people in the organization, they probably want him to die quickly. So Jin, who noticed something wrong today, came here and just frowned at Vodka and Toyama Tobi, instead of raising his gun with murderous intent. Speaking of which, the reason why Jin came to this base so quickly was mainly thanks to Vodka. Because Jin found that Vodka seemed to be a little excited when he was doing tasks during this period. He always ran here after overtime, as if he was planning some action. However, as one of the leaders of the Tokyo branch, Jin had never heard of any recent actions of the organization that were worth Vodka's excitement. Just today, after learning that there was an unusual movement in the base here, Jin played a game of waiting for the rabbit. Vodka looked at Toyama Tobi for help, and Toyama Tobi almost laughed at him. I say, brother, where is the momentum? Before you started the action? Why do you act like a child who made a mistake when you are in front of brother Jin? Your behavior makes it easy for me to misunderstand the relationship between you and Jin. After all, Senior Vodka has contributed a lot to Toyama Tobi's action plan, and it can even be said that he executed it perfectly with his own strength. So after receiving Vodka's eyes asking for help, Toyama Tobi immediately stepped forward and said to Jin, Brother Jin, Vodka and I have just led people to complete a perfect infiltration operation. Perfect infiltration operation? Toyama Tobi's words were considered to be confusing to Jin. He was not deaf and could not hear the sound of several trucks entering the underground warehouse of the base just now. Toyama Tobi dared to tell him that they carried out an infiltration mission and it was fucking perfect. Brother Jin, please follow me. Yuan Shenfei immediately led the way and walked into the base. Anyway, this surprise was for brother Jin, so it was better to do it today than today. It just happened to be a good opportunity for Jin to enjoy the joy of the harvest with them. Yuan Shenfei took Jin and Vodka to walk around the first floor of the base 3 times, then stopped and turned to look at Vodka in disappointment. How do I get to the underground warehouse in this place? I have never been here before. I will post 1 chapter first, and there will be 2 or 3 chapters starting in the early morning. Chapter 164. Brother, Yuan Shen, have something to say. Jin, Vodka. They were really speechless. Originally, Toyama Tobi was walking in front of them confidently. They thought Toyama Tobi knew where the elevator to the underground warehouse was. Who would have thought that this grandson didn't know at all and was leading them around in circles? You didn't know where the elevator was, so you should have said it earlier. For a moment, the two of them didn't know how to express their thoughts. Vodka rolled his eyes. Fortunately, he was wearing sunglasses, so Toyama Tobi couldn't see it. "Follow me." Vodka led the way and came to a secret door. He touched the switch of the secret door, and a spacious elevator appeared in front of the three of them. The more Toyama Tobi looked at this elevator, the more familiar it looked. Yeah? Was it the same elevator used in the short movies that could only be performed by 2 or 3 or 5 people in the previous life? It was really spacious. The elevator went down all the way and finally stopped slowly. When the elevator door slowly opened, a busy scene in the underground warehouse was revealed. Similar to the previous actions in the Toyo arsenal, many former members of the organization were acting as hard-working little bees in the warehouse. The only difference is that in the arsenal they moved the weapons to the truck, but here they moved them down from the truck. This is. Brother Jin has seen a lot of big scenes, so he would not be surprised. But the scene in front of him was so shocking that even a cold-faced killer like Jin could not help but show surprise. Yuan Shenfei said to Jin proudly, "Brother, this is the spoils of our perfect infiltration operation this time. I believe that with this batch of weapons, whether it is wholesale or retail, the financial pressure of the organization will be greatly alleviated." Friends who often open stores know that what is the biggest financial pressure for opening a physical store? Of course, it is the goods stored in hand. If the manufacturer does not have a repurchase agreement, the goods stored in hand are bought with real money. Some people even opened a store for many years, and when they wanted to quit, they found that the profits of these years were in the form of inventory. After years of hard work, they found that they could not take out much money, and ended up with a pile of goods that could not be eaten or drunk. The same is true for the organization's arms business. The bank robbers found the organization's arms sales outlet, and wanted to buy a few guns to rob the bank. The organization members at the sales outlet couldn't tell the bank robbers, "Wait a minute. Don't act yet. Tell me the weapons you want, and then I'll order them for you." Right? That's ridiculous. With such a batch of guns, the pressure on the organization to purchase goods is much less, and funds can be withdrawn to get some high-end things. For example, armed helicopters, submarines, and warships. For an organization that can get submarines and blow them up at will, Yuan Shenfei doesn't agree that they don't have a warship of their own. We in the organization must use our own warships and tanks. Of course, if you think that the quantity of this batch of goods is too large to be sold in time, or if you don't want to let this batch of arms flow into the Tokyo market for some reason, you can also sell the weapons to other places through the sales channels of the organization's own bulk arms transactions. There will never be a shortage of people who want arms to cause trouble in this world. 9mm 6 or P220 pistol, 9mm macro Uzi submachine gun, brand new M4 carbine, FN Minimi squad machine gun. Unfortunately, the Toyo arsenal is a light weapons arsenal, so no heavy weapons were found in it. Yuan Shenfei felt a little sorry when he said this. The M4 carbines and FN Minimi squad machine guns in the Toyo arsenal were all imported. As for the pistols and submachine guns, they were produced by the weapon manufacturers after improvements and licensed production. Among these weapons, the number of pistols and submachine guns is the largest, and the number of M4 carbines is the least. These M4 carbines are used by some special combat groups. Of course, in addition to the above weapons, the members of the organization also brought back a certain number of recoilless guns, individual rocket launchers, portable anti-tank missiles and individual anti-aircraft missiles. If nothing unexpected happens, the portable anti-tank missiles and individual anti-aircraft missiles will be retained by the organization and sold to other countries. After all, there aren't that many tanks and planes in Japan for the organization to attack, right? Jin doesn't need Toyama Tobi to introduce them, he naturally knows these things. But he still keenly perceived the element in Toyama Tobi's proud words. "You mean the Eastern Arsenal?" "Yes, it's the Eastern Arsenal." Toyama Tobi nodded naturally. "Don't worry, brother, the organization didn't suffer much damage in this operation. At most a few formal members were accidentally injured. The guys from the Eastern Arsenal were smart enough to settle the accounts, and we just found the opportunity." Toyama Tobi said as a matter of course. Toyama Tobi's as a matter of course made Jin think of his behavior in the exam for promotion to formal member. That was also an infiltration and assassination assessment, and Toyama Tobi killed the entire building. Killed all the way to the target, and killed the opponent. Toyama Tobi said at the time that, if he saw his people dead, it would also be a perfect infiltration. In connection with the context, Jin felt that the perfect infiltration that Toyama Tobi was talking about now didn't seem to be what he understood. Jin looked at Vodka. Vodka saw his elder brother looking at him and nodded. Don't worry, elder brother, no one was left alive. The person in charge of the armory on duty was killed by Toyama himself. He was shot in the head and shot twice in the chest. He definitely couldn't survive. Toyama Tobi had something to say about this. The reason why he did this was to make the guy who saw his appearance die completely. Although he was shot in the head, what if he has strong vitality? The racer who rushed off the cliff can be resurrected. Toyama Tobi felt that he still had to believe in the miracle of human life. As for why he had to shoot 2 more bullets in the chest, how to say it, there are people whose hearts grow on the right side, right? Our Toyama Tobi's main action is steady. You tell me whether it is stable or not. After listening to Vodka's overall plan, Jin felt that his blood pressure was a little high at the moment. One of these 2 people dared to think, and the other dared to do it, and they actually joined forces to do such a big thing. Jin felt that he could not handle this mess, so he planned to contact Rum. After all, half of the ownership of Toyama Tobi belongs to Rum of course. Toyama Tobi's action this time is not all bad for Jin. The full warehouse of arms in Bangkok made Jin very satisfied. What's more, this action is enough to prove Toyama Tobi's position. Which undercover agent would do such a thing when he has nothing to do? This is exactly the style of a terrorist. It is simply a talent sent from heaven tailor-made for the organization. My vision is still as good as ever. Chapter 165 Yuanshin is still a little immature. Rum, I have a good news and a bad news. Which one do you want to hear? After sending Toyama Tobi away, Jin called Rum. Rum, who received Jin's call, was stunned for a long time after hearing this. In his impression, Jin has always been a serious person. You can say he is cruel, you can say he is crazy, but no one will ever say he is humorous. Such a sentence from Jin's mouth made Rum wonder if he was dazzled when he answered the phone. Maybe this call was made by Vermouth in Jin's voice. For this reason, Rum even cut out the call interface and looked at the caller ID. The words Jin on the caller ID proved that Rum was not wrong. So, Jin? Yes, it's me. Jin was calm, but there were just some doubts. Could it be better than what Toyama Tobi and Vodka did? Jin couldn't wait to hear how Rum would react after hearing this. Realizing that Jin wanted to keep the suspense to the end, Rum wanted to see what Jin was doing. So he asked, then let's talk about the bad news first. Let's listen to the good news first. Jin sincerely suggested to Rum. The boss of the black organization is mysterious. He basically does not participate in the management of the organization. There are very few people who can contact the boss, so the daily management of the organization is done by Rum. Jin was afraid that Rum would be overwhelmed if he heard the bad news directly, so he made such a sincere suggestion. You see, the members of the organization are not all deceitful. Such a touching story, shouldn't we celebrate it with 2 brain holes? Rum felt that Jin was too strange today, but based on Jin's status and position, he still said, then let's talk about the good news first. The good news is, the screening of Yuanshin Tobi has been completed, and there will be no problem with this guy. This is indeed good news. Rum was quite surprised to hear Jin say this. Jin has always been a person who questions everything in Rum's heart. There is no member of the organization that has not been suspected by Jin. Even if some members will not arouse Jin's suspicion for the time being, it only means that Jin believes in his loyalty at this stage. Just now, Jin said that there is absolutely no problem with Toyama Tobi. It is not something Jin would say. So Rum asked, what kind of screening test did you do on him that made you, Jin, so sure that Toyama Tobi is fine? It's not that I did any test on him that makes me so sure, but what he did. This involves today's bad news. Rum, are you ready? Jin's voice did not change, but Rum always felt that he seemed to hear some unconcealed excitement and gloating. What the hell? Jin, your character is broken. Tell me the bad news, Jin. Rum was obviously a little impatient and urged Jin. Toyama Tobi led people to rob the Oriental Arsenal today. Robbed the Arsenal? What's the big deal? Rum felt puzzled. The people at the Oriental Arsenal have been stealing from the company. They are also responsible for the current flood of guns in Tokyo. What does it mean to rob a batch of their goods? Jin knew that Rum didn't understand what he meant, so he emphasized it to Rum again. I mean, he led people to rob the Oriental Arsenal. Yes, isn't that what I said? Wait. Rum suddenly realized something, and the electronic sound went up 2 octaves. You are talking about the Arsenal, the Oriental Arsenal? Yes, that's it. Hearing Rum's loss of composure, Jin felt satisfied. What's the matter with only my own character collapsing? If it's going to collapse, everyone has to collapse together, so that it can be neat and tidy. The call suddenly became silent, and Jin knew that Rum was looking for someone to verify the situation. Of course, it takes time to find someone to verify, and the most direct way is to ask Jin, who knows the insider. So Rum's exclusive electronic voice soon appeared in the call again, but this time Jin always felt that there was always a sense of difficulty in Rum's electronic voice that could not be suppressed. How much did he rob? A large part. Pistols, submachine guns, automatic rifles, light machine guns, and grenade launchers, rocket launchers, recoilless guns, portable anti-tank missiles, individual anti-aircraft missiles. The people in the base are unloading now. I have asked him to go back first. Jin's series of words like reading the menu made Rum silent again. Today, this ordinary member of Yuan Shenfuayu was regarded as a knife stabbing his ass as the second in command of the black organization. An eye-opener. After a while, Rum's electronic voice came online again, and he spoke with the same opinion as heroes. You are right. Yuan Shenfuayu is indeed impossible to be an undercover agent of those intelligence agencies. Rum thought for a long time, and couldn't figure out what kind of intelligence organization could cultivate talents like Yuan Shenfuayu. Since he couldn't think of any organization that could produce such talents, it was obvious that Yuan Shenfuayu could only be gifted. He is too suitable for this job. But, has Toyama Tobi thought about how to deal with the aftermath? Jin told Toyama Tobi's aftermath plan again, and Rum thought about it carefully, and felt that it was still a little immature. Considering that Toyama Tobi has completely established his identity as an insider of the organization today, Rum used the statement of first praising and then criticizing. Toyama's aftermath plan was very good in previous actions, but he was not very thoughtful this time. If he didn't rob much, this aftermath plan could still be used, but he robbed too much. We have to make some preparations, Rum said to Jin. Although this matter is very big, Rum always feels that Toyama Tobi may do something bigger in the future. So is Rum's self-CPU. At this moment, Toyama Tobi, who was far away in the Beaker Hotel, didn't know that his elder brother Jin and second brother Rum were ready to help him clean up his ass. Just when he was practicing in front of the mirror what kind of expression he would face Maria TG tomorrow, a call came to his mobile phone. Hello, Officer Sato? During the call, Toyama Tobi said to Sato in a confused tone of someone who was woken up from a deep sleep, it's only a little after 3 in the morning. Are you working overtime again? That's about right. Sato sighed and got down to business. Toyama, I need your help now. The Toyo Arsenal was robbed, and the entire police force was alarmed. Our superiors asked us to do everything we can to find the criminals. Sato's tone was heavy. The arsenal was robbed openly, and this was too big a matter, so big that the entire Metropolitan Police Department was mobilized. Regardless of whether it was openly or secretly, they were asked to look for clues. As a registered informant of the Metropolitan Police Department, Toyama Tobi was naturally also within the scope of mobilization. Sato called him at this time, just to inform him of this. What the hell? The arsenal was robbed. Can an arsenal be robbed? Toyama Tobi was shocked and awake on the phone. I'm using the mobile phone code outside. I'll go home to add the picture. Chapter 166 Professor, you have done a great job. Toyama Tobi only used a shocked tone to make Sato understand his implication. Not only can Pikachu rob banks, but also rob armories? Sato was a little embarrassed for a moment. It is hard to say that the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department has contributed to the formation of Pikachu's simple folk customs. After all, solving cases depends on detective reasoning. It is really hard to say what deterrent effect the police will have on criminals. For a long time, the criminals' provocation targets have been more on detectives rather than police officers. This is also a silent mockery. Of course, Toyama Tobi didn't let Sato continue to be embarrassed, so he asked, how much did they rob? The entire armory was looted. Everything was robbed clean. All robbed. Toyama Tobi was completely confused. Bullshit. I clearly only robbed 3/4. These people didn't even forget to take kickbacks at this time. Exclamation mark. Toyama Tobi was completely speechless, but fortunately his surprise was normal in Sato's eyes. Because when Sato heard about this, his performance was not as good as Toyama Tobi. Now you know why I was called up to work overtime at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sato sighed. An entire arsenal was looted, and all the guards were brutally killed. It would be good if this batch of arms could be found, but if not, it would be best if it was sold abroad. Otherwise, all the people who knew about the robbery of the Japanese arsenal would be terrified. I understand, Officer Sato. I will help you keep an eye on this matter. Toyama Tobi responded to Sato's request for help and hung up the phone after chatting for a few more words. As soon as the phone was hung up, Jin called. Are you still talking to someone so late? Jin asked subconsciously after the call was connected. Toyama Tobi did not hide it. It's a detective from the investigation division. The police have already known about my actions and are mobilizing all their forces to find me. Toyama Tobi said it very easily, as if he didn't take the police's search seriously at all. Hearing that it was the Metropolitan Police Department who called, Jin immediately felt that there was nothing wrong with Toyama. It was no secret that Toyama Tobi had a good relationship with the Metropolitan Police Department. When there was no mission, Toyama Tobi would often hang out with the police. This was also the mission that Rum assigned to him. If the armory robbery was not caused by Toyama Tobi, it meant that the organization would get the latest first-hand information as soon as possible with the help of the police. Jin always spoke directly when he made a phone call and rarely beat around the bush, and this time was no exception. The plan has changed. Rum has helped you improve your plan for the aftermath. Some insiders have packed up all the remaining stuff before the relevant departments went to the East Station Arsenal. So there were 3 groups of people who visited the East Station Arsenal. The first group had only one person, Moriarty. The second group was a group of members of a mysterious organization whose identities were unknown. Most of the things in the arsenal were robbed by them. Our people are only the third group. Although they also have ideas about the East Station Arsenal, they can only pick up some leftovers after they go there. Do you understand? I understand. When the time comes, find an unlucky guy of similar size and blame them. Yuan Shenfei is an old wise king. Even at this moment, he has found an unlucky guy who will take the blame for the organization. There are only a handful of underground organizations in Japan and Tokyo that have the ability and courage to directly break into the arsenal. In addition to the black organization, there is only the zoo that has been chasing Kato Kid. If you don't watch the later part of the plot and the movie version, it should be okay to say that the zoo is more brutal than the organization, right? At the beginning of the story, when Jin killed someone, he at least considered the police, knowing that there were police around, and he could not shoot, but had to give them medicine. Unlike the later part, the main theme was unrestrained. Jin was very satisfied with Toyama Toi's quick insight, and he knew that Toyama was born to do this. The next day, Moriarty was in a good mood. In fact, he was still very nervous when he was thinking about the East Station Arsenal. No one can guarantee that there will be no accidents until the final success. Although Moriarty and Toyama Toi have a tacit understanding not to reveal it, he still did not intend to drag Toyama Toi into the water for this most dangerous step. If there is any accident during the theft of the East Station Arsenal, Toyama Toi can completely clear himself and say that he did not know about Moriarty's behavior. It can only be said that Moriarty, as a professor, is quite good to his students. How do you say that? Although I violated the law and committed a crime, I firmly believe that I'm a good teacher and a good professor. Now Moriarty's plan has come to the second half. The explosives containing nitrate ammonium required for the plan are in place. They just need to be made into bombs and delivered to the door one by one. The most dangerous part of the plan has been completed. Moriarty thought that he could let Toyama Tobi participate in the remaining plan. After a short period of teaching, Moriarty was very clear about Toyama Tobi's learning progress. It is still difficult for Toyama Tobi to design a building independently, but if Toyama Tobi is given a certain amount of time, he can really blow up a building with the least bombs. Anyway, Toyama Tobi always said that he would blow up those imperfect buildings, so this time it would be as he wished. Just when Moriarty was thinking about how to confront Toyama Tobi without appearing abrupt, Toyama Tobi had already hurried to the door. The first time he saw Moriarty, Toyama Tobi asked solemnly, "Professor, was it you who was at the Toyo Arsenal last night?" Toyama Tobi's expression made Moriarty's heart skip a beat. Something was wrong. His student's expression was wrong. Whether Toyama Tobi was excited, surprised or incredulous, it was all within Moriarty's consideration. Only the solemnity on Toyama Tobi's face at this moment made Moriarty feel a little uneasy. This shouldn't be the case. Based on Moriarty's understanding of Toyama Tobi, his student shouldn't be the kind of person who would panic when hearing that he had stolen explosives from the arsenal. Did he misjudge him? Moriarty realized the seriousness of the problem. He thought that he and Toyama Tobi should have a tacit understanding in this regard. But if what Toyama Tobi and he had been tacitly aware of these days was not the same thing, then Moriarty and Toyama Tobi looked at each other for a long time without saying a word. Just when Toyama Tobi couldn't bear to ask for the second time, Moriarty decided to show his cards. His student had obviously guessed what he had done last night, and now he couldn't hide it, so he simply spoke out and saw what Toyama Tobi was going to do. Moriarty didn't explain directly, but left a sentence, "Follow me," and turned around and took Toyama Tobi to the studio in the manor. Pushing open the door of the studio, a messy workbench caught Toyama Tobi's eyes. On the workbench were scattered explosives and newly made bombs. Toyama Tobi walked in quickly, glanced at the bomb on the table, and began to search around the studio. Looking at Toyama Tobi's actions, Moriarty fell into confusion. "Toyama, what exactly are you looking for?" Chapter 167 Professor, we are in trouble. No big words. The previous chapter was censored. Where are the things? Where are the other things? Yuan Shenfei stared at Moriarty with burning eyes and asked word by word. What things? Moriarty felt that Yuan Shenfei was particularly inexplicable today. What was he talking about? Things snatched from the armory. Aren't these explosives containing nitrate ammonium what you, Professor, brought out from the armory? What about the other things? Yuan Shenfei repeatedly emphasized the other things, which made Moriarty realize something. Things seemed to be a little different from what he guessed. He just paid special attention to Yuan Shenfei's eyes when he looked at the explosives and the prepared bombs on the table. Yuan Shenfei's emotions at that time could be said to be without any fluctuations, but instead had a sense of indifference. It can be seen that Yuan Shenfei came to him so eagerly not because he stole the explosives from the armory, but Yuan Shenfei's urgent attitude now made Moriarty a little concerned, and there were other things he mentioned. Nothing else. I did go to the Japanese arsenal last night, and these explosives were also taken out from there. But apart from these explosives, I didn't take anything else. Yuan Shen, what happened to make you so uncalm? Until this moment, Moriarty did not forget to teach Yuan Shenfei not to panic and to stay calm. The so-called calmness in times of crisis is this truth. However, it is very rare that Yuan Shenfei completely ignored Moriarty's teachings. He was seen shaking and unable to stand. He was slowly relieved by Moriarty. Oh no, Professor, disaster is coming. Yuan Shenfei looked at Moriarty in horror, his eyes full of panic. What happened? Moriarty asked anxiously. On weekdays, Yuan Shenfei always talked about blowing up buildings, and he was so calm when he saw the bomb just now. What kind of thing happened to make such a person so panicked and terrified? Toyama Tobi's voice was dry, and he stammered, "Professor, my friend in the Metropolitan Police Department told me today that the Toyo Arsenal was invaded yesterday and all the arsenal was looted. All the guards of the arsenal were killed, and the entire Toyo Arsenal was emptied." What? Moriarty was shocked and asked subconsciously, "Are you sure?" Toyama Tobi nodded with difficulty. Yes, the entire Metropolitan Police Department is now looking for the person who invaded the Toyo Arsenal yesterday. My friend in the Metropolitan Police Department told me that the top brass of the Metropolitan Police Department has made up their minds that they will find the person, even if they have to dig 3 feet underground. Professor, we are being targeted. How is it possible? How could this happen? How could this happen? At this moment Moriarty's body began to shake, and it was Toyama Tobi who pulled him up to prevent him from falling to the ground. Moriarty muttered, but I went to the armory yesterday and everything went smoothly. Why did this happen? Faced with such a disaster, Toyama Tobi was the first to calm down. He looked at Moriarty and said seriously, Professor, tell me about your visit to the armory. It's best not to leave out anything. Also, tell me why you want to go to the armory. This is very important. Toyama Tobi helped Moriarty to the study and found a bottle of whiskey to pour a glass for himself and Moriarty respectively. Moriarty drank a glass in one gulp and Toyama Tobi continued to pour another glass. After 2 times, Moriarty slowly said to Toyama Tobi, as a patient with late-stage obsessive-compulsive disorder, the older Moriarty gets, the more he dislikes the imperfect buildings he built in his early years. Finally, he recently came up with the idea of destroying all these imperfect buildings, and he has put it into practice. But a house can be rebuilt by just setting it on fire, but neither the Beaker Municipal Government Building nor the Sumida Canal Bridge can be solved by setting it on fire. Although a certain amount of bombs can be bought in the underground market, let alone whether those bombs are strong enough, the quantity is far from meeting the requirements of T.G. Moriarty. Moreover, when buying things in the black market, T.G. Moriarty, an amateur, may easily run into the fishing spot set up by the police in the black market. Just when T.G. Moriarty was worried about where to get a large amount of explosives, he happened to meet a manager of the Toyo Arsenal. With T.G. Moriarty's intention to make friends, the two sides quickly became familiar with each other, so T.G. Moriarty inadvertently got a lot of information about the Toyo Arsenal from the manager. Even the password of the arsenal was almost taken out. Although the management of the arsenal did not directly tell T.G. Moriarty the password of the arsenal, they gave a password hint. It was the puzzle that T.G. Moriarty threw at the tea party. This puzzle was cracked by Conan, a child. That night, T.G. Moriarty began to steal the Toyo Arsenal, and everything went very smoothly, to an incredible degree. Professor, you have been targeted for a long time. Toyama Tobi sighed and said to Moriarty, I was wondering how the password of the arsenal could be so simple. According to what you said, don't you think that person, as the management of the arsenal, is too weak? No matter how unprofessional he is, it is not so easy to get the password of the arsenal. What's more, the password of the arsenal is usually a mixture of numbers and English letters. The Toyo Arsenal uses Momotaro as the password. If people know it, the management will be replaced completely. Toyama Tobi explained his theory of balancing the accounts. Moriarty, who was confused by the smooth operation of his actions, immediately reacted, yes, he was calculated by someone. Then Moriarty felt something was wrong. If he just wanted to balance the accounts, wasn't the current miserable situation of the Toyo Arsenal a bit too much? It stands to reason that, even if the management wanted to balance the accounts, there was no need to kill people. And can he, an architect, directly empty the arsenal? Toyama Tobi gulped down the whiskey in the glass and said bitterly, so after you, Professor, left the armory, a third party suddenly intervened, and they were the ones who did the armory thing. This is our trouble, Professor. If it was just some explosives and some firearms that were lost, it wouldn't be enough to drive the Metropolitan Police Department crazy. There are bank robberies or jewelry stores every other day on the streets of Bikacho. Is this still a problem for the Metropolitan Police Department? The residents of Bikacho are already used to it. This matter must be because the management didn't keep it secret and other people got to know about it, and they took advantage of the situation and did something big behind you. The worst thing is that you, Professor, have to take the blame for this in the end. Hearing what Toyama Tobi said, Moriarty laughed bitterly. I will take it. How can I take such a big blame? They won't care about this kind of thing. After all, it's much easier to trace it back to you, Professor, than to trace it back to them. Toyama Tobi sighed, and the powerlessness in his words really made Moriarty think that they had reached a dead end at this moment. Toyama, let's go book plane tickets now and leave Japan before the police find out about us. I have some connections in the UK, let's. Moriarty drank another glass of strong liquor, then hurriedly stood up and prepared to flee with Toyama Tobi. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Toyama Tobi. Useless professor, it's too late to leave now. I remember all the chapters that you guys owe me. I've been busy for a while. I'll make up for it when I'm done. If you don't make up for it, my little brother will be 10 centimeters shorter. Chapter 168 Fisherman Vodka and the Distant Mountains of Repaying Gratitude. Toyama Tobi gave a sad laugh. If we had known about this last night, we could have taken a plane and left before the third party could react. As long as we leave Japan, we can go anywhere in the world. But now, Professor, believe it or not, as soon as we arrived at the airport, someone blocked us and tried to silence us. I'm afraid we have become the scapegoat for this arsenal robbery. Toyama Tobi said a few words to dispel Moriarty's idea of running away, and then the study fell into silence again. Toyama Tobi and Moriarty looked at each other in silence. After an unknown amount of time, Moriarty's hoarse voice sounded, Toyama, I have decided to turn myself in. Toyama Tobi looked at Moriarty in shock. Facing Toyama Tobi's gaze, Moriarty closed his eyes. After thinking about it, I still feel unwilling to be the scapegoat. In this case, I might as well turn myself into the Metropolitan Police Department. I decided to explain the matter clearly to the police. Even if the Tokyo police are incompetent, they would not believe that I can empty an entire arsenal by myself, right? Not to mention me, even James Bond can't do this kind of thing. Toyama Tobi hesitated and finally fell silent. Seeing this, Moriarty smiled at Toyama Tobi with relief. Toyama, don't worry. It was my idea to steal the arsenal from the beginning to the end, and you were completely unaware of it. I won't involve you. Unfortunately, if I go to jail, your journey as an architect will end here. Facing Moriarty, who seemed free and easy at the moment, Toyama Tobi finally said, it's useless, Professor. They won't let you go to the police station to explain the matter clearly. How could the butcher in the slaughterhouse let the fat sheep on the chopping board run away? I'm sure that the outside of the villa must be full of spies from third-party forces. The police can't protect us. What should I do then? Exclamation mark. Can I just stay at home and wait for death? Moriarty was completely crazy. This is not okay. That is not okay. This is death. That is also death. He is Moriarty, a master of Japanese architecture and a rising star in the crime world of rice flour. Can he only stay at home and wait for his neck to be killed? Yuan Shenfei pondered for a long time, gritted his teeth, and said to Moriarty, the only way now is to sneak out of Japan first and hide to save your life. It just so happens that I know a snakehead. Okay, let's do it. Moriarty nodded fiercely. It is obviously unrealistic to want to leave Japan through normal channels under the current situation. Smuggling is a big risk, but Moriarty has no choice to survive. Okay, I'll contact the snakehead now. Yuan Shenfei did not carry Moriarty on his back when he called. Moriarty was sensitive and suspicious in this situation, and any disturbance would make him alert. The call came to Vodka's mobile phone, and the perfect toolman Vodka played the role of the snakehead very smoothly. After the two parties agreed to send the people away at dawn tomorrow, Yuan Shenfei helped Moriarty pack his luggage in the manor. That night, Yuan Shenfei and Moriarty designed some mechanisms in the manor, pretending that the people in the house had not left. Then Yuan Shenfei took Moriarty, the owner of the manor, and climbed out of the wall. They took a small path with few people along the way. In this high-intensity rush, Moriarty was exhausted and lost his manners. Yuan Shenfei did it on purpose. There was no one following outside the so-called manor, just like there could be no ghosts in the haunted house in the amusement park. All horror atmospheres rely on the rendering of the environment. The fear of Moriarty comes from the rendering of Toyama Tobi's mouth. If people are too idle, they tend to think too much. In order to prevent Moriarty's smart little head from thinking too much, Toyama Tobi directly used the simplest and crudest method. He tired him half to death, so that he naturally had no energy to think too much. Toyama Tobi brought Vodka to the agreed place, took out the flashlight that had been prepared long ago and flashed it a few times to the opposite side. After the other side responded, Toyama Tobi took Moriarty and trotted over. At this moment, Vodka changed out of the organization's uniform black clothes and dressed like a fisherman on the beach. The only thing that was a bit inconsistent was that, although it was the middle of the night, Vodka was still wearing a pair of sunglasses. It seemed that the sunglasses were his true body. Seeing Toyama Tobi and Moriarty coming, Vodka got into the role perfectly and said to them in a gruff voice, "I don't know what the Metropolitan Police Department's cops are crazy about. There are Coast Guard ships everywhere in the sea in the middle of the night. You go out at this time, they are not looking for you, are they?" Moriarty's expression tightened, and he became a little nervous. Although he is usually elegant, he still can't hide his panic when it comes to his own life. Toyama Tobi snorted at this time. "When did you people become so nosy? Which of those you sent away is okay? Tell me, what do you think?" Vodka chuckled and showed a mercenary smile. "The situation is tense and the risk is great. I can send people out, but I have to pay more." Vodka turned into a monk who added money, saying that his boat would definitely not move today without 3 times the price. After looking at each other, Toyama Tobi and Moriarty took out some cash from their pockets, handed it to Vodka, and said unhappily, "You can start the boat now. We still have something to talk about, so we'll go over later." After the money was in place, Vodka's service was naturally in place. After saying hurry up, he walked towards the fishing boat on the beach alone. "Professor, I can only take you here. By the way, take this." Toyama Tobi took out a square package and stuffed it into Moriarty's hand. "This is my savings over the years. Professor, your account must be insatiable. With some money in hand, you won't feel cramped, no matter where you go." "Toyama, aren't you going with me?" Holding the cash in his hand, Moriarty looked at Toyama Tobi in shock. Yuan Shenfei smiled carefreely. "Professor, we can't go together. The traps in the manor can only confuse them for a while. It won't be long before they realize that there is no one in the manor. Those people who are watching us are connected to these snakeheads. If they find out that we are about to escape, the snakeheads may directly hand us over to them. So one of us has to go back to hold them back, so that they think we haven't realized the danger yet," Yuan Shenfei said, staring at Moriarty's eyes seriously. At this moment, Yuan Shenfei's eyes were full of sincerity. "Professor, Yuan Shenfei, am an orphan, but I also know how to repay kindness. This period of time is the closest I have been to my dream, thanks to your care, Professor. Now, it's my turn to repay your kindness, Professor." Yuan Shenfei took out a pistol and secretly stuffed it into Moriarty's hand, and reminded, "Professor, the snakehead is not trustworthy. It would be fine if he can send you out smoothly, but if he has any thoughts that he shouldn't have halfway, don't be soft-hearted. Professor, this is all I can do for you. It's almost time, so hurry up and get on board." Chapter 169. Today, Yuan Shen, will give you a wife and son performance. Moriarty never dreamed that there were not only evils like Kudo Shinichi in this world. There were also sincere gentlemen like Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi, a student who had just started for less than 2 months, was not only able to calmly think of a strategy to deal with the danger of his mentor, he could even use himself as bait to hold back the criminals, just to buy time for his mentor to escape. What kind of friendship is this? This is a friendship that can entrust his wife and children to him. At this moment, the brilliance of Toyama Tobi's humanity almost blinded Moriarty's eyes. With his eyes inexplicably sour, Moriarty stared at Toyama Tobi's back for a long time, then turned and entered the cabin. "Who are you?" Vodka, who was starting the fishing boat, was bored and chatted with Moriarty. When Vodka started the conversation, Moriarty was very alert, but as the fishing boat sailed longer, Moriarty, who could only hear the sound of the fishing boat engine and the waves hitting the bottom of the boat, began to chat with Vodka in a casual manner. "That's my student." Moriarty was very proud at this moment. As an architect, Moriarty felt that he was not successful. Due to his lack of understanding of the beauty of architecture, he designed a large number of junk buildings in the early stage of his career as an architect. Before these buildings were cleaned up, Moriarty refused to admit that he was an excellent architect. But as a teacher, he might not be successful in the early stage of his career, but this disciple he accepted has regained all his face. When he heard Vodka asking about the relationship between the two, he was naturally very proud. Vodka was deeply trusted by Gin, and mixed like a fish in water, because he had good eyesight. In addition, Moriarty did not hide his emotions, so Vodka naturally saw what he was thinking at this time. Vodka was now mourning for Moriarty, and he felt more and more wary of Toyama Tobi. It's not that Vodka has any bad thoughts about Toyama Tobi, but Vodka thinks he is not that smart, and he is afraid that he will be sold out by Toyama Tobi by accident one day. Just sell it. The saddest thing is that, even if he is sold, he may have to help Toyama Tobi to count the money from selling himself. Just like Professor Moriarty in front of him. If the professor took off the magazine of the pistol that Toyama Tobi gave him and took a look, he would find that the magazine was full of blank bullets. Although blank bullets have a certain lethality at close range, it is ridiculous for a scholar to show off his skills in front of a killer. It's a waste of Moriarty's name, which sounds like Moriarty. If Moriarty is really at this level, I'm afraid he would be played to death by Sherlock Holmes. Of course, Vodka can't show his sarcasm to Moriarty at this time, but he has to give him enough emotional value. As a professional killer, although Vodka's acting ability is not as good as that of the big movie star Kudo Yukiko, he will not be discovered by Moriarty. You are a really good student. Vodka held back his laughter and praised, I have been doing this for many years. I have seen teachers and students turn against each other. Even brothers have turned against each other. It is not uncommon for me to see that your students can do what you do. Of course, he is my proudest student and my last disciple, Moriarty said proudly, but he suddenly fell silent. Yuan Shenfei and his teacher-student relationship lasted less than 2 months. In order to let his teacher fly away, he not only helped to contact the ship, but also gave all his savings to himself. As a student, he has given everything for his teacher. Can a teacher like me accept it calmly? Moriarty, you have no heart. The Moriarty in the cabin suddenly slapped himself twice, then stood up and got out of the cabin. Return. I won't leave. I want to go back. Vodka was unmoved by this and even rolled his eyes. What are you crazy about? I finally got the opportunity to leave Tokyo, but now you say you want to go back. Are you kidding me? Facing Vodka's sarcasm, Moriarty took out the pistol given to him by Yuan Shenfei without saying a word. I said, return. Moriarty's action made Vodka stunned for a moment, and then he said to him calmly, it's not impossible to return, but I can't refund the fee. And I can see that you don't play with guns often. If you don't have the determination to shoot at this distance, this thing can't scare people at all. Vodka suddenly raised his hand and disarmed Moriarty directly. The pistol was thrown into the sea, and Moriarty would never know that the gun was actually full of blanks in his life. Vodka silently controlled the fishing boat, seemingly expressing dissatisfaction with Moriarty's actions just now. But in fact, he was in awe of Toyama Tobi's arrangement. He really didn't expect that Moriarty would actually return to Tokyo when there was a hope of escaping. Toyama Tobi also made 2 preparations. If Moriarty decided to return to Tokyo, then Vodka would help him settle down and hide in Tokyo. But if Moriarty really planned to leave, then the place where Moriarty just threw the gun was where Moriarty's soul would return. So at this moment, what was Toyama Tobi, who moved Moriarty to tears, doing? Hello, is this Officer Sato? I have a major clue about the armory robbery. In the early morning, just as Sato Miwako had just finished a night of overtime work that made her bald, and was about to have breakfast and go home to rest, a call from Toyama Tobi made her whole body energetic. A major clue about the armory robbery? Exclamation mark. Toyama's efficiency is still as high as ever. Sato didn't care whether to eat breakfast at this moment, and hurriedly ran to the parking lot with the car keys. In the office area of the 1st Investigation Division, Shiratori, who was promoted from inspector to police lieutenant after returning from vacation, looked at Sato Miwako's back and fell into deep thought. After not seeing her for a while, is Officer Sato so energetic? and Officer Sato ran out in a panic. Is she in a hurry to meet someone? At this moment, Shiratori Rensaburo's brainwaves successfully agreed with Conan. How could Officer Sato, Xiaolan, be pried away after being away from the first investigation division for such a short period of time? Exclamation mark. Sato didn't know what Shiratori was thinking, and she didn't want to know. Now the armory robbery was undoubtedly the highest priority case. Sato hurried to the gate of manor according to the address given by Toyama Tobi. At the entrance, she saw Toyama Tobi waving at her. Sato Miwako parked the car in a hurry. After getting out of the car, she came to Toyama Tobi in a flash. Where are the clues? And where is this place? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Yuanshin arrested. This is Mirai Residence, the home of architect Mirai TG. Toyama Tobi opened the big iron gate and introduced to Sato. About 2 months ago, Mirai TG and I met by chance near the Beacon Municipal Building, and we hit it off. Under his strong suggestion, I chose to study architecture from scratch with Mirai TG. Passing through the large front yard, Toyama Tobi took Sato to the main building of Mirai Residence, opened the half-closed door, and the two walked all the way to Mirai TG's workshop. If it were in normal times, when visiting such a mansion that he had never seen before, Sato would have sighed a few words. But now Sato Miwako, whose mind was full of the arsenal robbery, had no interest in this at all. When I came here this morning, I knocked on the door for a long time but no one answered. Of course, this has happened before. As a well-known architect, TG Mirai always has some sudden jobs that he can't refuse. Usually, I come to the studio to refer to some learning materials left by TG Mirai to study by myself. But this time, I found some deadly things on the workbench in the studio. Yuan Shinfei pushed open the door of the studio, and Sato looked at the workbench at the first time. The finished, semi-finished, and raw materials of the bombs on the workbench made her pupils shrink suddenly. This is, Sato walked quickly to the workbench, looking at the objects on the table, and took a breath. The number of bombs and explosives on the workbench made Sato secretly shocked. This number of bombs is definitely not the small-scale explosions that happened in Beaker Town in the past. Moreover, TG Mirai's profession is an architect, not a demolition engineer. In any case, he should not come into contact with explosives in his work. Especially this amount and scale of explosives according to the investigation of other police officers in the Metropolitan Police Department. There is no information that anyone is buying explosives on a large scale in the black market. This means that these explosives were obtained through a secret channel. For example, from the Japanese arsenal. Sato made a phone call, and the Metropolitan Police Department's large team arrived instantly. For a while, the manor that was originally empty for Toyama Tobi and Mirai TG was suddenly crowded. There were people here with ammonium nitrate explosives for testing, and there were people there rummaging through the manor buildings. The police in the house were so busy that they didn't even have time to look up, and there were even more police outside the house. Some of them explored the front and backyards with metal detectors, like a treasure hunter who wanted to find treasure and dream of getting rich overnight. Others simply used shovels to explore downwards, just in case they were lucky enough to find the arsenal that had been looted in the front garden of Mirai's house. The green plants and flowers that Mirai TG had finally cleaned up were basically ruined. But unfortunately, except for the explosives in the workshop, they didn't find anything. But they were not without gain, at least in the study and workshop. They found Toyama Tobi's study notes. From the densely written notes, it can be seen that Toyama Tobi has been studying hard during this period. Even the intensity of study is not ordinary. The police officers who went to the scene were all male police officers from the Metropolitan Police Department, most of whom had drunk and boasted with Toyama Tobi. Everyone is familiar with Toyama Tobi, who is well known in the Metropolitan Police Department. This is a good guy who is generous and likes to make friends. The good guy's experience made everyone sigh. From those notes, they can see that Toyama Tobi is really working hard and studying hard. It's a pity that Moriarty's operation directly made poor Toyama lose the opportunity to change his career. Manager Matsumoto, according to the test, these explosives have been confirmed to be the same batch as the explosives lost in the Toyo arsenal. We think we can also determine that Moriarty is one of the gangsters who invaded the Toyo arsenal. Okay, I know. Matsumoto Kiyanaga waved his hand to dismiss the people around him. At this moment, only Toyama Tobi and himself were left in the studio. Toyama, do you think that the case of the Toyo arsenal was done by Moriarty? Matsumoto Kiyanaga asked Toyama Tobi. The evidence is irrefutable. There is no way to deny it. Toyama Tobi smiled bitterly. Don't worry, Manager Matsumoto. I will cooperate with you to investigate at the Metropolitan Police Department. But let me be fair, although Moriarty must be one of the criminals who invaded the Toyo arsenal, but I don't think he should be the one who stole the arms. For such a big thing as the gun arsenal, it is necessary to contact the person in action in real time on weekdays, to prevent any mistakes from causing everyone to be implicated. Toyama Tobi told Matsumoto Kiyanaga that he had spent most of his time studying at the Moriarty family in the past 2 months. Whether Moriarty was in collusion with others, how could he not see any clues? Matsumoto Kiyanaga understood what Toyama Tobi meant. He said that more than one group of people entered the arsenal on the day the arsenal was robbed. This has been confirmed by colleagues who went to the arsenal to investigate. The reason why Matsumoto Kiyanaga asked Toyama Tobi just now was to help him eliminate suspicion. No matter what, Toyama Tobi had been with Moriarty for so long, he would definitely be suspected. Toyama Tobi's statement that he would go to the Metropolitan Police Department to cooperate with the investigation was not an option at all, but a must. Of course, some words and not saying them completely represent two attitudes. At least in Matsumoto Kiyanaga's view, Toyama Tobi's courage to say so also proved that he was open-minded in his heart. In the end, Toyama Tobi took a police car and followed the police back to the Metropolitan Police Department. When Toyama Tobi walked out of the gate of the Moriarty family manor, there happened to be 2 police officers from the investigation section on his left and right chatting with him. Toyama Tobi put his hands in front of him. From the side and rear, he was escorted to the Metropolitan Police Department by 2 police officers. Moriarty put down the telescope in his hand and slammed the wall beside him. Damn it. The incompetent cop of the Metropolitan Police Department used his students as scapegoats when he couldn't find himself. Moriarty's expression became colder and colder, and vodka beside him did not disturb his thoughts. Suddenly, Moriarty took out the savings given to him by Toyama Tobi. He had made up his mind to use his own method to clear Toyama Tobi's suspicion. But he needed someone to help him prepare some things. Moriarty threw the cash in his hand to Vodka, who took it and looked at Moriarty in confusion. Help me find a place to stay and then buy me some things and all this money will be yours. Moriarty couldn't find anyone else to help him now, but from the brief contact during this period of time, he thought that Vodka was the kind of person who liked to have fun. It just so happened that he was going to show Vodka a big fun. At the same time, Amuro Toru, who received the news that the arsenal was stolen and was asked by his superiors to find clues as soon as possible, hurriedly contacted Kazumi Uaya when he heard that Toyama Tobi was involved in this incident. Kazumi, think of a way. I want to meet Toyama. I asked for leave to post a chapter. Today I went to the government service center and bought New Year's goods. I thought there would be fewer people buying New Year's goods on Tuesday, but I didn't expect so many people to buy New Year's goods today. The whole day was either queuing or queuing. I really couldn't get enough of seeing the back of the head in various shapes. Chapter 171 Bourbon. You don't want to be treated as an undercover Baijin. Toyama Tobi's position in the Metropolitan Police Department is as high as ever. Not only does he live in a small single room, but he also has good brothers from the Metropolitan Police Department come to chat with him from time to time. As the police's investigation into Maria's house deepens, they also know that Toyama Tobi was purely implicated by Moriarty this time. After all, who can resist the temptation of an internationally famous architect saying to you, "Young man, I think you are very talented. Come and learn plastering from me"? But even if he is implicated, the matter of the Japanese arsenal is too big. Toyama Tobi is the only clue the police have at present. It is impossible for the police to let him go after asking a few questions, right? So with the cooperation of Toyama Tobi, the 1st Investigation Division provided him with a room that can be locked from the inside. During the day, Toyama Tobi can also wander to the cafeteria of the Metropolitan Police Department to have a meal and occasionally chat with the female police officers in the traffic section. At night, he returns to his single room, locks the door, and goes to sleep. The Metropolitan Police Department did not use any repeated interrogation techniques. Brother Toyama was already miserable, so let's not make him more miserable. Although Toyama Tobi's life in the Metropolitan Police Department seemed like a vacation in a different place, it was not completely without restrictions. At least before there was a major progress in the case of the Oriental Arsenal, Toyama Tobi could not leave the Metropolitan Police Department. This was not only a restriction on Toyama Tobi, but also a protection for Toyama Tobi. You should know that it is not only the Metropolitan Police Department that is investigating the Arsenal case. Various intelligence agencies and special agencies have also started to move, and they are eyeing Toyama Tobi, the only clue. As long as Toyama Tobi stays in the Metropolitan Police Department for one day, he will be safe. Those special agencies can't rush into the Metropolitan Police Department to rob people, right? If they really do that, the Metropolitan Police Department can completely appeal to the higher authorities. You can't be incompetent and rob our police force's witnesses. So when Toyama Tobi still thought that today was a dull and boring day, the figure of a cleaner pushing a cart attracted Toyama Tobi's attention. To be precise, it was not the cleaner's figure, but the golden hair on the cleaner's head that made Toyama Tobi feel particularly familiar. The cleaner was cleaning slowly in the corridor, all the way to Toyama Tobi's room, walked in and removed his disguise. "Bourbon, why are you here?" Toyama Tobi was not surprised at all about Amuro Toru's arrival. As I said, there are only 1 or 2 organizations in Tokyo that have the courage and ability to do such a thing. If Toyama Tobi were in Amuro Toru's position, he would probably doubt whether this was done by the organization at the first time. Amuro Toru had heard that Toyama Tobi was doing well in the Metropolitan Police Department, but he had never felt it directly. Now he came to Toyama Tobi's single room and found that this small detention room had been transformed into a single room in a 3-star hotel outside in a short period of time. For a while, he couldn't help but feel a little depressed. No, what kind of luck did his colleagues in the Metropolitan Police Department look at? What about your intuition as a police officer? Although Toru Amuro was full of complaints, as a skilled undercover, he was calm on the surface, and even had the time to mock Toyama Tobi. "I heard that you were arrested by the police for the Arsenal case, so I sneaked in to take a look. I didn't expect that you were doing so well in there." Toyama Tobi smiled shyly. "Well, it's all because of everyone's face. What's wrong with that? By the way, I remember that you are also a part-time detective, Bourbon. Are you also interested in the Arsenal case?" Toyama Tobi understood Toru Amuro's intention and didn't beat around the bush with him. If he wanted to get out of the Metropolitan Police Department, he would need the help of this golden undercover. So Toyama Tobi asked Toru Amuro directly. Hearing Toyama Tobi's words, Toru Amuro's eyes moved slightly and then nodded calmly. "It seems that you really know a lot of inside information." "It's not that I know a lot of inside information, but I know almost all the inside information of the Arsenal incident." Toyama Tobi sneered with a tone of bourbon. "Don't look down on me," and said calmly. Amuro Toru's fist clenched. This bastard actually knew the truth about the Arsenal incident? No, maybe this guy was a personal participant in the Arsenal robbery. At this moment, Amuro Toru even considered whether to let the Ministry of Public Security take him away while Toyama Tobi was in the Metropolitan Police Department. This would not only help to find out the truth about the Arsenal incident, but also eliminate the backbone of the organization in the future. Most importantly, if Toyama Tobi really knew the whole story, it would mean that this guy might be the planner of the action. If such an unscrupulous guy succeeded in becoming a cadre of the organization, Amuro Toru couldn't imagine what the future Tokyo would be like. The Tauto Tower was bombed 3 times a month. The Prime Minister of the authorities was shot twice a week. Every now and then, there are extremists shouting slogans to go to the Imperial Palace as human bombs. In just a few seconds, the image of Toyama Tobi in Amuro Toru's mind quickly turned into the source of evil in Japan in the future. Just when the two villains in Amuro Toru's mind said that Toyama Tobi should be controlled quickly, and the other said that I agree, Toyama Tobi fiddled with his phone and said to Amuro Toru slowly, "It's better to come at the right time than to come early. Since you come at this time, Bourbon, you are lucky." Toyama Tobi edited an email and sent it out, then raised his head and smiled at Amuro Toru, shaking the phone in his hand. "I just set up an email to be sent to Gin and Rum. The content is very simple. It is that you, Bourbon, are very kind-hearted. You learned that I was in the Metropolitan Police Department and sneaked in to visit me. During this period, I have been keeping in touch with Rum and Gin at a fixed frequency. If I lose contact, or if the way I contact them is not right, they will know that I have been controlled by someone." Amuro Toru's face changed drastically when he heard this. "What do you mean?" "I don't mean anything. Bourbon, you don't want to be treated as an undercover by Gin, right?" Toyama Tobi's smile became more and more annoying in Amuro Toru's eyes. He even regretted why he didn't take 2 blood pressure pills before meeting Toyama Tobi. Based on the principle of giving someone a piece of candy after a blow to their head, Toyama Tobi advised Amuro Toru in a gentle voice, "Of course, I'm not saying that you, Bourbon, are an undercover agent. But it's just a coincidence that you came here at the right time. It just so happens that I need you to investigate something for me. Don't worry, your work will not be in vain. As long as you can investigate the incident in the arsenal thoroughly, I estimate that you will become famous in the detective world, and you will naturally have a share of credit in the organization. What do you think, Bourbon? Do you want to cooperate with me? Do I have any other choice?" Amuro Toru narrowed his eyes and answered unhappily. Although Amuro Toru seemed unhappy on the surface, he could tell from Toyama Tobi's words that there might be other hidden stories behind the arsenal incident. Between Toyama Tobi and the lost arsenal weapons, he chose to investigate the truth of the arsenal incident first. This is a wise choice, Bourbon. Chapter 172, The Innate Holy Body of the Oxen Horse. Then sign this, before we officially start. Toyama Tobi took out a contract of sale and slapped it in front of Amuro Toru. Amuro Toru looked at the agent contract in front of him, and the corners of his mouth began to twitch. What the hell is this? After reading the agent contract in full, Amuro Toru had only one thought. Damn, this guy came prepared. Toyama Tobi spread his hands. There's nothing I can do. You are the only detective in our organization. Anyway, even if you don't come today, Rum will let you come in a few days. I'm not talking about the mission. Are you really going to run all the way on the road of detective agent? It's no secret that Toyama Tobi is Maori Kagoro's agent, but Amuro Toru never thought that Toyama Tobi was still eyeing him. Of course, don't you think this profession is high paying and low staff, and has a high social status? Toyama Tobi felt that Toru Amuro had worked for nothing all these years. As long as you can solve cases continuously, I can get a commission from the commission fees continuously. It's really great to feel like I can get paid without working. Although Toru Amuro's blood pressure soared when he was indoctrinated with heresy by a freeloader like Toyama Tobi, he didn't waste any words and simply signed his name on the contract. As a result, the second detective under Toyama Tobi, the gold medal agent, immediately came online. This also means that Toyama Tobi has one more direct supervisor. System prompt. You have obtained a new direct supervisor, Furuirie. System prompt. You received a job reward from your direct supervisor Furuirie. The spare time of the working emperor. The spare time of the working emperor. Tray. With this tray, your concentration is greatly enhanced, and you can enter a state of concentration anytime and anywhere, greatly improving your work efficiency. With this tray, your negotiation ability is greatly enhanced, and you can easily get many job opportunities. With this trait, your interpersonal relationships are greatly improved, and you can handle the complex relationships between multiple bosses with ease. With this trait, your affinity is greatly improved, and you can handle the complex relationships between colleagues with ease. Note this trait is clear at a glance, and it is purely built for the innate oxen and horse holy body. What are you waiting for? Go and be a happy oxen and horse. The trait reward from Amuro Toru left Toyama Tobi speechless. No wonder this public security undercover has been keen on working everywhere. It turns out that he is the innate oxen and horse holy body that is rare in a century. Ruthless man. Furuirii, you are really a ruthless man. When seeing this trait reward, Toyama Tobi once thought that Amuro Toru ran to the organization as an undercover. Was it because, when he was in the public security, he couldn't work freely, like he does now? Okay, now that you've signed, say what you want to say. I have a part-time job to do later. Toru Amuro impatiently offered up the part-time job method, which made Toyama Tobi stand in awe. No one can stop a cow and horse from being a cow and horse. With full respect, Toyama Tobi began to fool Toru Amuro. My acquaintance with TG Moriya was really just an accident. He said that I had the talent to be an architect. Based on the principle that more skills are better, I really studied hard from him. But not long ago, I discovered something. Toyama Tobi told the whole story of the robbery of the Toyo Arsenal with both truth and lies. It is true that someone in the upper echelons of the Toyo Arsenal deliberately cooperated with TG Moriya to steal the arsenal. It is also true that TG Moriya took a lot of ammonium nitrate explosives from the Toyo Arsenal. It is also true that Vodka and others went to the arsenal in the end, but did not gain much. Only Toyama Tobi lied about the main force that broke through the Toyo Arsenal in the middle. Toyama Tobi said to Amuro Toru indignantly, originally, I took Vodka and many members of the organization to the East Arsenal to pick up a bargain, but I didn't expect to be too late. There were only some leftovers in the arsenal, and these unethical guys even killed people. Do you know what sustainable exhaustion means? How can we cooperate with the management of the arsenal in the future if they kill people? It's really unlucky. Toyama Tobi looked unhappy, but Amuro Toru was thoughtful. Toyama Tobi's words made him aware of many factors, such as the management of the East Arsenal suspected of embezzlement and wrestling arms. Although Toyama Tobi was also interested in the arsenal, the way he chose to act was still the style of the organization. He took the handle of the management of the arsenal, and then coerced and induced them to drag them into the water together. The black organization also participated in the looting of the East Arsenal, but did not gain much. According to Toyama Tobi, there were quite a few bullets left in the arsenal, but there were only a few boxes of guns and shotguns left. There were 3 parties that invaded the arsenal. The first party, Moriya TG, is currently on the run. The second party, the black organization, went to the arsenal to pick up leftovers. Amuro Toru can be a little relieved that they didn't get many weapons. Anyway, the organization also works as a part-time arms dealer on weekdays, so they don't lack the bullets in the arsenal. Finally, there was the mysterious third-party force, which got in before the organization and made them suffer a heavy loss. If the organization suffered a loss in other aspects, Amuro Toru would be willing to gloat over it, but in this matter, Amuro Toru would rather the organization take the lion's share. An organization that is as mysterious as the organization suddenly got such a large number of arms. At this moment, Amuro Toru felt overwhelmed. Amuro Toru rubbed his temples and said to Toyama Tobi with a headache, "Isn't the clue you gave me too abstract? Such a mysterious organization. Where do you want me to investigate? That's your job as a detective." Toyama Tobi spread his hands and acted like a rogue. "Of course I can also provide you with some gossip. Recently, a group of members of an overseas criminal group came to Tokyo. This group of guys only target various rare jewels, just like Kato Kid. They seem to have some grudges with Kato Kid, and the relationship between the two sides is very bad. The leaders of this group are named after reptiles such as venomous tongue, spider, and scorpion. I'm not sure if the third-party force in the arsenal is them, but anyway, they are the most suspicious." After getting the clues that were not considered clues from Toyama Tobi, Amuro Toru's trip ended successfully. After getting the information he wanted, Amuro Toru transformed himself into a cleaner and left Toyama Tobi's single room. He couldn't wait to find someone to vent his excitement. It wasn't enough that there was a black organization in this shabby place of Tokyo, and now there was a reptile park. To this day, even Amuro Toru himself had to wonder if there was something wrong with the feng shui of Tokyo. Of course, even if there was a problem with the feng shui of Tokyo, he still had to do his job. First of all, he should start by checking whether there was any problem with the senior management of the arsenal. Chapter 173 Distant Mountains. This is my last ripple. While Amuro Toru was intensively checking the clues he got from Toyama Tobi, Moriarty was also nervously using his own methods to exonerate Toyama Tobi. As a highly educated and high-quality talent, Moriarty knew very well that the reason why Toyama Tobi had been arrested for so long and had not been released was mainly because the police had no clues about the case of the arsenal. Because the case had a huge impact, Toyama Tobi became the only clue, so the police would not easily release him. Moriarty was not clear about the relationship between Toyama Tobi and the police in the Metropolitan Police Department, so it was not surprising to think so. Now Moriarty is facing this situation. Toyama Tobi was arrested by the police and refused to let him go, and there are third-party forces secretly eyeing them, wanting them to take the blame that they cannot bear. Moriarty only thought of a way to break the situation. Sumida Canal Bridge. This is a canal bridge presided over and designed by Moriarty. Of course, this bridge is also one of Moriarty's early works. Located on the Tauto Loop line, there are countless trains passing through the canal bridge every day. On this sunny day, a train was running on the Tauto Loop line without noticing anything. Just like usual. When passing the canal bridge, the train driver slowed down according to the requirements in the driving manual. Then, 4 bombs placed on the canal bridge exploded one after another, and the orange-red flashes accompanied by billowing smoke brought huge explosions. For a while, the cries, and screams were deafening, and all kinds of noises accompanied by the vigorous explosions turned the Sumida Canal Bridge in the nearby river basin into a living hell. At this time, Toyama Tobi, who was watching the busy work of the detectives in the office area of the first investigation section, suddenly heard a loud ringing of the phone. Then a detective's face changed drastically and shouted to others in shock, "Tauto Loop line, a bomb was detonated on the Sumida Canal Bridge. There were many casualties at the scene, and the local police station requested us to support the scene." Professor, I didn't expect you to be such a sentimental person." Toyama Tobi looked stern on the surface, but secretly he kept giving thumbs up to Moriarty. Moriarty is a real Japanese. The bridge he designed was blown up, and the people of his country were implicated. What does this have to do with him? Toyama Tobi, an outsider. For a moment, the entire Metropolitan Police Department became busy again. Toyama Tobi quietly left the office area of the 1st Investigation Division and came to Matsumoto Kiyonaga's office. Manager Matsumoto. Toyama Tobi walked into Matsumoto Kiyonaga's office and nodded to him. Matsumoto Kiyonaga was on the phone at the moment. Seeing Toyama Tobi coming, he didn't say anything, but just nodded slightly. After a while, Matsumoto Kiyonaga put down the landline phone and pinched his Jingming acupoint hard. "You should have heard about the explosion of the canal bridge just now. Someone saw an orange-red flash at the scene. Experts judged that the criminals should have used plastic explosives. It is very likely that the batch stolen from the Toyo arsenal. Although the Metropolitan Police Department found a batch of ammonium nitrate explosives in Moriarty's home, this amount is insignificant compared to the munitions stolen from the Toyo arsenal. Now the thing the police feared the most has happened. The explosives lost from the Oriental arsenal have been used in the right place and appeared on the market. Toyama, do you have any clues?" Matsumoto Kiyonaga finally asked Toyama Tobi. In fact, this can be regarded as desperate. With the current corrupt situation, Matsumoto Kiyonaga does not want to miss any clues. If this incident cannot be solved in a short time, I'm afraid that the whole of Tokyo and even Japan will have to live in fear. In fact, Matsumoto Kiyonaga does not quite understand why the situation in Tokyo has become so tense and corrupt. Fortunately, Toyama Tobi brought him some good news that is not good. "I came here for this, Manager Matsumoto. Toyama Tobi said simply, I suspect that this explosion was done by TG Moriya himself, and he may not have left Tokyo. What? Seeing that Matsumoto Kiyanaga was in doubt, Toyama Tobi immediately explained to him that he had seen his exhibits in TG Moriya's collection room. These exhibits are photos of TG Moriya's works during his career as an architect. As time went by, the number of exhibits in the collection room continued to decrease. Originally, Toyama Tobi thought that this was some kind of quirk of Moriya TG. Until today's explosion, Toyama Tobi realized that Moriya TG was very likely to clean up his early works. After getting this important clue, Matsumoto Kiyanaga immediately asked people to verify it. Soon they learned that most of Moriya TG's early works really had accidents. Most of the houses he designed in the early days had recently caught fire and had to be demolished and rebuilt. As for the remaining works, the Sumida Canal Bridge is his most famous early masterpiece. But even if Moriya TG wanted to blow up the Sumida Canal Bridge, compared with the amount of explosives found in his studio, the detonated bombs are far from enough. Meiji Jusen frowned and doubted Toyama Tobi's judgment. That's right, so I think Moriya TG's next crime is likely to be in this place. Toyama Tobi pointed to the exhibits that the detective took back from the Moriya House collection room. The exhibits happened to be photos of the Beacon Municipal Building. How is it possible? The Beacon Municipal Building is obviously the masterpiece of Professor Moriya. TG Moriya in the middle of his career. Doesn't this contradict our speculation about his motive for committing the crime? Shiratori is a very knowledgeable person. In the past, TG Moriya was also an architect he admired very much, of course, only in the past. When Shiratori said this, he nodded to Toyama Tobi, indicating that he was just talking about the matter at hand and had no intention of targeting Toyama Tobi. Yes, it is true in terms of the time period of the work, but I heard that the builder at the time seemed to have arbitrarily changed TG Moriya's original design due to funding issues. As soon as these words came out, all the detectives present immediately changed their faces, and Matsumoto Kiyanaga immediately contacted the upper level leaders to report the situation. Officer Meiji led the team to set off again and drove quickly to the Beacon Municipal Building. But unfortunately, when they were on the way to the Beacon Municipal Building, TG Moriya had already detonated the bomb in the mall. Although the entire building was not directly blown up, TG Moriya, who was proficient in blasting, still used a small number of bombs to blow up the Beacon Municipal Building into pieces and had to be rebuilt. Damn, I'm still a step too slow. Sato pounded his fist on the desk in frustration, and the faces of other detectives in the entire Metropolitan Police Department were not very good. Although the Beacon Municipal Building received a notice from the Metropolitan Police Department and urgently evacuated the people in the building, the detonation of the bomb could not be avoided. The most important thing is that, although they have locked the identity of the bomber, no one knows where TG Moriya is, except for Toyama Tobi. At this moment, Toyama Tobi is sending emails to Vodka in his private room. If I'm not mistaken, where was Professor Moriya's last stop? Toyama Tobi 2, 21 Bikacho, Tokyo. Vodka isn't 2 to 21 Bikacho, Tokyo, the happy hometown of Kudo Shinichi. Chapter 174 Conan, your house is about to explode. To be honest, Moriya TG's hatred for Kudo Shinichi is really huge. Even at this point, this guy still misses Kudo Shinichi. It was also because of the intervention of Toyama Tobi that the Mori family took the invitation letter given by Toyama Tobi instead of attending the tea party on behalf of Kudo Shinichi. Zyalin did not have the opportunity to enter Moriya TG's collection room, and Moriya TG naturally had no chance to know that Maoli Ran was Kudo Shinichi's childhood sweetheart. So during the time when Kudo Shinichi disappeared, no matter how much hatred Moriya TG had for him, he could only find Kudo Shinichi's home at most, but could not find him. Moriya TG chose the Kudo residence as the final location, which also means that Conan's home is going to be blown up. It was the third day after Amuro Toru came to the Metropolitan Police Department. On the first day after Amuro Toru's visit, Moriya TG blew up the Sumida Canal Bridge and a train that was running on the bridge at the time. The next day, TG Mariah placed a bomb in the Beacon Municipal Building and detonated it before the police arrived, leaving no chance for the police to defuse it. It is now the third day. According to the internal judgment of the police force, TG Mariah will never stop his bombing operations, but his next target is hard to guess. All buildings designed by TG Mariah were checked by the police at the first time, and corresponding police forces were arranged to squat near the buildings. Until now, the police officers in charge of squatting have not found any trace of TG Mariah. In the office area of the 3rd Department of the Investigation Section 1, most of the detectives were looking at the photos of the buildings brought back from the collection room of the Mariah house and thinking hard. No one has a clue about TG Mariah's next plan. Toyama Tobi was also among them. He looked around and found that the things in the collection room did not seem to be taken away completely, so he asked Shiratori, who was in charge of taking the exhibits at that time. "Officer Shiratori, I remember there seemed to be a sand table in the collection room at that time." Shiratori nodded. There was a sand table, but that was not the work of TG Mariah. To be precise, it should be a design for a new town, but for some reason, it was not started. In addition, the sand table was not easy to move, so it was not moved back to the Metropolitan Police Department. I remember that Professor Mariah seemed to care about the sand table. Why didn't the new town plan be started? Well, I remember it seemed to be because the former mayor was taken away by the police for investigation after a hit and run accident, and then the new mayor did not continue the idea of the new town plan. The mayor was taken away for investigation after a hit and run accident? Who solved the case? Toyama Tobi asked knowingly, leading the Metropolitan Police Department to the original case in Nishitama City. As expected, because of the sand table, Shiratori also specially checked the files of the previous case involving the former mayor of Nishitama City. It's Kudo Shinichi. Originally, the former mayor had asked his son to take the blame, but in the end it was Kudo Shinichi who discovered the truth of the case. Wait, what do you mean? Shiratori Rensaburo was startled and stood up hurriedly, looking at Toyama Tobi in shock. Toyama Tobi nodded seriously, now that the imperfect works in the early stage of his career have been cleared up. Now Mariah TG probably wants to take revenge on the culprit who prevented his lifelong dream from being realized. As soon as Toyama Tobi finished speaking, the harsh phone ring rang again, and Major Jusen picked up the landline receiver. "Hello, this is Major. What? You must keep the person stable. I'll go there now." After hanging up the phone, Major Jusen immediately said to everyone, "Mariah TG has appeared at Bikacho Chome. Everyone set out immediately and follow me to catch him." After speaking, Major Jusen glanced at Toyama Tobi, hesitated for a moment, and said to Toyama Tobi, "Toyama, you come with me." When the people from the investigation section 1 arrived at the scene, a cordon had already been set up around Kudo's house. Many old Bika people were outside the cordon and pointed inside. The police officers inside the cordon were on high alert, with nervous eyes. The first thing Major did, when he led the team to the scene, was to ask the temporary commander on the scene, "What's the situation now?" The temporary commander was overjoyed to see Inspector Major, and immediately said, "The gangster is now in Kudo's house. He has placed a lot of bombs in the house. He just detonated a bomb in the yard, which collapsed a small section of the wall." There were many gangsters who confronted the police with guns, but this was the first time they saw a gangster who used a bomb to turn himself into a hedgehog. Major Jusen suddenly had a very bad guess in his mind. This Mariah TG. Could it be that he didn't want to escape at all? Sizzle. Is it the detective from the Metropolitan Police Department? Mariah TG's voice suddenly rang out on the intercom at the gate of Kudo's house. This sudden voice startled everyone in the Metropolitan Police Department. The temporary commander immediately explained to Officer Major, "The criminals communicated with us through this intercom." Officer Major nodded, and although nervous, he still walked forward with a steady step. "I'm Major from the Metropolitan Police Department Investigation Division 1. Mariah TG has no way to escape. Don't make a pointless struggle. Stop resisting and surrender." Major Jusen's words were very tough. Since the criminals didn't have hostages, there was no need to be polite. If it weren't for the clues about the Japanese arsenal involving Mariah TG, the snipers of the Metropolitan Police Department might have aimed their crosses at Mariah TG's head. Moriarty completely ignored Officer Meggio's negotiations. If he wanted to surrender, he could have surrendered long ago. Why do so much? The reason why he did all this was, on the one hand, to leave a way out for his good student Toyama Tobi. On the other hand, you idiots from the Metropolitan Police Department are finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Let me ask you, there are so many arms in the Eastern Arsenal. How can I, Moriarty, move all the arms overnight? You idiots are leaving more threatening criminals alone, and not investigating them, but are picking on me, right? That's right, Moriarty waited here for a long time, just to scold these useless policemen in person. If it weren't for these policemen staring at him, he would still have his beloved student Toyama, so why would he end up like this? In fact, many police officers from the Metropolitan Police Department had the same idea as Moriarty, but later when Moriarty began to transform into a terrorist, blowing up bridges and buildings, they thought it was okay to investigate Moriarty first. After all, the mysterious force that looted the arsenal had not been found. But Moriarty, who stole the explosives, was a real terrorist. Moriarty's words directly shocked many reporters who came to interview outside the cordon. Whether it was the looting of the Toyo arsenal or the transformation of a world-renowned architect into a terrorist, these were all very remarkable news. This group of reporters, who were not even afraid of other people's death for the sake of news, just wanted their partners to rush into the Kudo residence and give an exclusive interview to T.G. Moriarty. Inspector Meggio was about to interrupt T.G. Moriarty when he saw that the situation was not good, but was beaten to the punch by T.G. Moriarty. You know, I was originally just planning to clean up those imperfect works in a low-key manner. It was because of you policemen that those innocent citizens died. All this is the responsibility of you policemen. Now my work is about to be finished, and the only thing left is the final revenge. There is no need for me, a dying man, to lie to you, and there are other people who killed the guards of the arsenal and took away all the munitions in the arsenal. The robbing of the Toyo arsenal is real. Chapter 175 Mauritania Emperor II, the half-son of Shengshan. T.G. Moriarty's speech was as deafening as Goldie Roger and Whitebird. At the scene of the confrontation, T.G. Moriarty, as a terrorist, revealed to the entire Tokyo and even the entire Japanese people the fact that the Japanese arsenal had been breached. Many reporters who were caught off guard by such big news immediately pointed their cameras at the Kudo residence. Officer Meggio's expression changed drastically. Just as he was about to let his police officers try to force the attack, he heard T.G. Moriarty's wild laughter coming from the intercom. Probably Professor Moriarty had never laughed so wantonly in his life. His laughter was full of regret, unruliness, wildness, and nostalgia. It can be said that he laughed out a fan-shaped statistical chart by himself. After laughing, Moriarty's voice continued to be heard. Go find the man codenamed Snake. Everything you want is in his hands. You incompetent policeman, remember this. No one in this world can judge me. Fuck you, Kudo Shinichi. In the crowd, Toyama Tobi felt someone staring at him, and following his feeling, he found that Moriarty was standing behind the windowsill, smiling encouragingly at him. The button to detonate the bomb was pressed, accompanied by a violent explosion, followed by a pitch black smoke rising into the sky. The entire Kudo residence was reduced to ruins with the fire that followed the explosion. In an explosion of this intensity, Moriarty had no chance of surviving. Even though Officer Meggio had guessed that Moriarty was not going to escape, he did not expect that this terrorist who had switched from an architect would be so resolute. In addition, Moriarty's last words before his death, as the saying goes, a dying man's words are good. Moriarty's last words cannot be called good, but their credibility has greatly increased. After all, both Moriarty and Moriarty are dead, so they would not use their lives to deceive people in the end. Of course, this is not the most fatal thing. The most fatal thing is that Moriarty told the case of the looting of the Japanese arsenal in broad daylight. For a time, the whole Tokyo became panic-stricken. So far, the last link in Toyama Tobi's plan was filled by Moriarty with his own life. His suspicion and value were greatly reduced after Moriarty's self-explosion. The clues that Toyama Tobi handed over to the Metropolitan Police Department have almost been obtained by various special agencies during this period. Of course, they must have paid a certain amount of benefits to the Metropolitan Police Department for this. It's not bad to fight a big with a small one. The identity of Toyama Tobi, the unlucky guy, has gradually become known to various special agencies. It can be said that what Toyama Tobi knows, Moriarty knows. What Moriarty knows, Toyama Tobi may not know. When Moriarty died in such a grand way, the interest of various special agencies in Toyama Tobi was greatly reduced. Instead of staring at this unlucky guy, why not look for Kudo Shinichi, who was scolded by Moriarty in the end? To be remembered by Moriarty before his death. Is there something wrong with Kudo Shinichi? And there is a man codenamed Snake. Snake. VIP. Although the people who climbed the pet park have not arrived in Japan yet, the name of one of their members has been registered. The death of Moriarty announced that Toyama Tobi regained his freedom. The moment he left the Metropolitan Police Department building, Toyama Tobi did not feel as if he was in another world. He got on the taxi that had been waiting for Toyama Tobi at the door. The car took Toyama Tobi to a temple in the mountains. This temple, called Sani Temple, is located deep in the mountains. It is not very convenient to travel, but it is quiet. Moriarty's cenotaph is placed here. Toyama Tobi asked Vodka to help choose the place, which is the most central location of the entire cemetery. In this way, no matter how you look at it, this cemetery is perfectly divided into two completely symmetrical cemeteries by his teacher. I think Professor Maritani should like this completely symmetrical cemetery. Ignoring the temple abbot, who looks like a high monk, but is actually full of mercenary eyes, Toyama Tobi returns to Biko Town. He will send Conan to Sani Temple in a while. I think this annoying abbot will be killed soon. It is estimated that the new abbot will be the monk who looks very honest. As the saying goes, you can know a person's face, but not his heart. You say that a monk who makes a living by the dead and believers should not make himself more respected. At least his eyes should not be so straightforward, right? What about your ethics as a monk? What about your professional ethics as a monk? Let's say that you, an old monk, can obviously make money implicitly in the name of religion, but now you have to say directly to the donor that I'm deceiving you. If you don't die, who will die? Exclamation mark. When Toyama Tobi returned to Tokyo, the whole of Tokyo changed suddenly. The Metropolitan Police Department, the Japanese Public Security Bureau, the National Police Agency, and various special agencies were all out to capture the man codenamed Snake. Because there were too few clues and only one codename, all the people with the word Snake in their nicknames were invited to various institutions for tea or coffee. How to say it, although people with the word Snake in their nicknames are not necessarily good things, their experiences sound quite funny. These guys are often released from the previous institution just after they were proven to be innocent and had nothing to do with the Toyo Arsenal incident. They were captured by another institution and interrogated strictly. In this battle of dignity and honor, all institutions do not trust each other's abilities. Even if this person is not a problem, they have to make a final conclusion. So these guys with the word Snake in their nicknames had to suffer a lot. For these unlucky guys who were accidentally injured, Yuan Shenfei could only light a candle silently. As for the apology, shouldn't Snake, who climbed the pet park, apologize to them personally? For a while, the man codenamed Snake was both wanted by the black and white circles in Tokyo. When the real Snake came to Tokyo, I believe he would definitely feel the warm welcome from Mela. Come on, Conan, smiled. Toyama Tobi sat in front of Conan with a smile, constantly teasing Conan, who looked unhappy. The house that was blown up was Kudo Shinichi's house, not your Edogawa Conan's house. Besides, who can blame you for the evil you did? What do you mean by evil? Conan was even more unhappy when he heard it. Is it wrong for me to just find out the hidden truth? Of course it's not wrong. Toyama Tobi rarely agreed with Conan's idea. Then you said that, because their dreams were shattered, they blow up your house as revenge. Isn't it wrong after all? People's dreams will never end. Is this the same thing? Conan was furious and wanted to jump up and hit Toyama Tobi's knee. Toyama Tobi raised his leg to avoid Conan's jumping attack. Isn't this the same thing? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.